What is good? What is good? I appreciate everybody for waiting on me, man. I wanted to come on and what is good? What is good? I wanted to come up tonight and talk about waiting on me, man. I wanted to come on and what is okay. God, let me get my sound right. Excuse me, everybody. Sometimes you have a couple technical issues when you're getting the podcast started for the night. But one thing we don't have to worry about is actually rolling up to start tonight's show. I've got some of the apples and bananas twisted up. I decided to put away the other chronic. I'm back on the cookies tonight. We got some shit to talk about though. The game actually explained everything. The game actually explained everything as to why he has been beefing with 50 Cent. The whole situation was explained on Drink Champs. And as a fan, as a listener, a purchaser of both of their albums, all three of the albums that actually came out in the span of time that the game was with 50 Cent and G Unit, I wanted to comment on it. I wanted to speak on that tonight. So I appreciate everybody for tapping in. Hit that like button, share this video. Got a dope video to go over tonight, man. Got a couple things rolled up. We got that apples and bananas on deck tonight, you guys. What up, what up, what up? South Georgia, Big Swift 100. Big Swift in the building tonight. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Just gonna have a little smoke before we get started on the news tonight. Quite a interesting story we're going to be covering tonight, you guys. Jay Wavy, what's up, man? Mr. J Lex 09. Appreciate you for tapping in, man. Get this going. Make sure everything is saved properly. Whole lot has been addressed on this Drink Champs interview. What up, Robert? Appreciate you for tapping in. What y'all smoking? What's everybody blazing tonight? Pretty sure everybody should be through their first or second L for this evening. Not the whole day, but just this evening. I've been on the pre-rolls all day though, you guys. I've been on the pre-rolls, man. Honestly, I've been on the pre-rolls tonight. I was like, I'm gonna save the Duchess for tomorrow. I'm gonna see if these raws can last me for tonight. Big Swift Gelato, okay. What up? Would you? Robert Walton, Dallas on the tap in. Major love to Dallas for tapping in, man. Y'all are lucky. You guys actually get to host. You guys get to host WrestleMania this year? Jay Lex. Guys, I can't believe the game has really unveiled some of the key details. I mean, we knew a couple of the things. We knew that the game went on, the radio with Funk Flex. He was on the radio with Funkmaster Flex. He didn't really know what was going on with 50 Cent, so he really spoke out of turn. The game really spoke without knowing what was going on with G Unit, with all the beefs in G Unit. Okay, Rob says that he's on number 3, meaning his third L, and it's Runts for him tonight, which is dope. Love Runts. Salute Hulk Strong, my brothers in the building tonight. As fans of G Unit, as fans of the game, Black Wall Street, whatever, part of this equation that we were fans of, tonight we got a little bit of an explanation as to what as to when, the breakup with 50 in the game happened. What's going on with you, Mark and Nikki, the Taylors, South Philly tapping in? What's up, Mikey T? Appreciate you for tapping in tonight. I don't know if you had seen the interview that Nori did with the game. It's being touted as one of the best interviews on Drink Champs because of just what the game did. I mean, he killed like 2 bottles of tequila. He did one with his typical fashion of chugging the bottle. You know what I'm saying? Chugging the bottle, and then he was just doing so many shots throughout the show that he was noticeably drunk by the end. So it's quite the episode, but it's more than just that. It's more than just the game drinking. We know Drink Champs is more than just the drinking aspect. It's more into what they're talking about interview wise, and the game pretty much covered everything. Nori had quite a lineup of questions for him to answer. Wack 100 joined the show at the end, and actually, I think we all know that I did a poll about that last week. Actually, I did a poll where I asked the question, do you think Wack 100 is going to join the game on the show? And most of my co-hosts actually said no. They all did agree that he would be in attendance, though, being that the game is managed by Wack 100. But Wack actually made an appearance on Drink Champs. Why? I think Wack was on Drink Champs because he has that type of acclaim right now. You know what I mean? He has that type of celebrity where he can, demand a seat. Not demand, but you know what I mean? Like his name demands that he has a seat on that show. Detail, appreciate you for tapping in, man. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. Salute to everybody on the tap in tonight. Major salute. What up? What up? Detail. Appreciate you for tapping in, Detail. Major salute to you, bro. Appreciate everybody for hitting that like button, sharing this video. You know what I'm saying? Share this video, y'all. Show some support to the channel. However, however you want to share it, whether it's on Facebook, any form of social media that you guys use, let them know that you're in here talking about some hip hop shit tonight, man. Because that's what we're doing. We're discussing tonight. We got a couple different topics to discuss, including Wack 100 actually saying that Meek Mill called him to end the beef. As crazy as that sounds, you guys, I mean, Wack 100 is the dude that associates with the game. Like I was just saying, Wack 100 is the dude that came on the show with the game. You know what I mean? He came on Drink Champs with the game, you all. And I called it. I was like, it's pretty obvious that Wack 100 is going to go on the show. Unless I was wrong and someone's like, Mikey T, you did not call that on your live. Da, 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 da. But I think it was pretty evident that, Wack 100 was going to appear on the show with the game. Mostly we see people get another person joining them, sitting with them. You know what I'm saying? Baby Boy says, because he loves attention. Because he loves attention. Well, I mean, Drink Champs is the hottest show. You know what I mean? Wack had been featured on $1 million worth of game. You know what I mean? Wack had been, it was without a doubt that Wack was going to be featured on this show, you guys. Mr. J-Lex says, I think if you knew Nori was trying to avoid him, you would have said no to Wack being on. Well, Nori actually indulged. Nori actually sat and had a conversation with Wack 100, actually gave Wack 100 a set of his own questions, and actually got Wack 100 pretty drunk. You know what I'm saying? Now, Wack 100 actually was saying You know, Wack 100 was actually saying Meek Mill called him. Meek Mill had Talk, who he was referring to as Tack, call him actually, to put aside all the issues that he had with the game. And Wack 100, being so close to the game, reached out to him. The game really wasn't trying to hear it at first. We're going to get into it a little bit more specifically tonight. I think it's an interesting story that Wack 100 ended the beef, you know, pest control, all types of shit, the game, you know, putting dirt on Meek Mill's name, putting out diss tracks. You know what happens when the game puts out a diss track. Look what he did with 300 bars. There are members of G Unit that we will never know because of what the game did. You know what I'm saying? There's members of G Unit that we will never know because of what the game did to them. He put shots in Hot Rod's promotional truck. That's why they weren't able to actually get out the digital release of Be Easy with Mary J. Blige. You know what I'm saying? There was a shot in 40 Glock's promotional truck. That's why 40 Glock never really made it anywhere in his career. You know, the game, figuratively, not literally, he stopped their promotional vehicles, man. What up? What up? Providence, Rhode Island is in the building. Let me know what cities y'all is tapping in from, man. I definitely appreciate everybody tapping into the live podcast tonight, man. Couple different topics we got to go over. The game pretty much explaining the whole beef from his eyes, from his visions, to when he went to Funkmaster Flex, to when he spoke out of turn, to what he would have actually done. All of this, the game finally addressed. I mean, you could say Mikey T, the game has been addressing it his whole career. You know what I mean? But never like he did before. I never heard the game speak like this, man. Maybe it was because the industry was kind of casting him out back then. You know, you wouldn't hear the game as frequently as you did. DeAndre, what's popping? Appreciate you for tapping in. He says, I'll have to say the 300 bars was a little overrated. Game is literally taking credit for ending Yayo's career. Well, shit, if the shoe fits, you know what I mean? If the shoe fits, technically at that point in time, Tony Yayo's career wasn't taken off like the other G Unit members, you know? So the game, he's going to take credit for that type of shit. Yayo's career was not taken off. And Yayo was actually in this interview speaking on the fact that he, Banks, Buck, they were all out on tour with 50, splitting all kinds of money. You know, some of the tours Yayo actually couldn't make. But, I mean, they do say they kept some money aside for Yayo. $300 bars is all fire all the way through. Yeah, Yayo went gold. Yup, Yayo actually sold 216,000 copies his first week. So Yayo actually, you can't say he had the worst G Unit sales. You can't say Yayo had the worst G Unit sales, you guys. Because after Yayo, you would have the Mobb Deep album come out that only sold 110,000 copies first week. Lloyd Banks' second album, Rotten Apple, came out and he only sold 150,000 first week. And then Buck's album also sold 150,000 in 2007. Yayo just never got another opportunity to release a solo album. And if somebody can actually bring up the record sales from TOS, the Terminate on Sight album, I bet they would be around the 100 to 150,000 lane, if that. Bernard, appreciate you for tapping in with a comment, bro. He says, game ain't end no one's career. The other G Unit members did it to themselves. He sure didn't stop 50. His biggest songs are with 50. Now, Bernard, let's talk some facts. Now, you say his biggest songs are with 50. That is without a doubt. You know what I mean? Nobody is, discrediting that as a fact. His biggest singles, probably, if you look it up, they are the ones with 50 Cent. But that's not saying we cannot say he doesn't have other singles. He's got Dreams. He's got Wouldn't Get Far. He's got, you know what I mean? He's got singles with Lil Wayne. He's got all types of different singles, man. So you can't just say he only has 2 singles. That's where a lot of people get it twisted. The Game, if I were to look it up, right now, which I appreciate James Jones, appreciate you, DJ, for looking it up. The Terminate on Sight album did 102,000 copies first week. Steve, everything is going sweet, man. I can't lie. Everything's going good, man. Appreciate you for tapping in tonight. I was watching the Drink Champs interview today, and it kind of grabbed me. The Drink Champs interview grabbed me because of some things that Wack 100 said. It grabbed me because of some things that the Game said. Now, we've all been watching the feud play out, the beef, if you will, play out between the Game and 50 Cent. We all know why this beef started. It actually started because the Game went on a radio station and said that he was cool with the likes of Nas, the likes of Fat Joe, the likes of Jadakiss. This is something that rubbed 50 Cent the wrong way. All 3 of these men dissed 50 Cent. Jadakiss with Checkmate, arguably the hardest diss at 50 Cent ever created. Fat Joe sold his diss record, My Fofo. If you guys remember it, he actually sold it on his album because 50 would make fun of Fat Joe. 50 made fun of Fat Joe for selling 50,000 units. Fast forward 6 years, 50 Cent's album Animal Ambition sells 50,000 first week. 50 at one point had a funeral for Fat Joe's record sales. You know what I'm saying? Like, you reap what you sow, man. It's like who said it, man? The same people that you see on the way up, you're going to see them same people on the way down. 50 Cent making fun of somebody for having 50,000 in sales, and now look what's happening to him. His last album realistically sold 50,000 copies. It realistically sold 50,000 copies, but he did something different. You guys, because I'll be realistic with y'all. 50 actually released every single song on Animal Ambition on the internet before releasing it as an album. So that's one thing. DeAndre's coming back for everyone that was, going at him over saying 300 bars really wasn't all that. DeAndre says, don't get me wrong, when 300 bars was first released, it was for sure made some noise, but nothing he said in the songs were facts. All he was doing was calling them snitches. DeAndre, you're going to maybe have to bring up some lyrics that you were saying really weren't too hard hitting, because the Game explained in this interview with Nori on Drink Champs that after the beef escalated outside of Hot 97, that he got flew back to LA. He got flew back to the West Coast. You know what I mean? Game literally said he picked up the phone like the Notorious B.I.G. and said, Cali? You know what I'm saying? Like, the Game went back to the West Coast, and that's why he decided to rap about it, because he couldn't go and put in any more work, pain, if you will. Game was saying that he wanted to go to Queens. He wanted to go to Queens afterwards. Why did he want to go to Queens? 50 wasn't going back to Queens. Mark Gotti, Jadakiss is one of my favorite rappers. Yeah, without a doubt, man. Solo tip, group tip, duet album with Fabulous tip. You know what I mean? Jadakiss has really been an artist that has kept our interest throughout all these years. And apparently Jada denied the second verses with Jim Jones. I agree with that, man. Jim Jones, you're my bro, man. We smoke ganja together. We pop bottles together, bro. We at Club Live, at least. You know what I mean? He's got to remember that shit. But Jones, leave that versus shit alone when it comes to Jada. Jada needs to go against somebody like a T.I. To be honest with you, Jada's got so much shit. But Jim, go against a French Montana, man. You guys are cool now, so let's get the verses between you, just like they did with Gucci and Jeezy. French and Jim are arguably cooler than Jeezy and Gucci. So, what's the problem here, you guys? What's the issue? Get the verses together. Y'all have comparable hits. Jones could bring out the game. Jones could bring out Cameron. You know what I'm saying? DeAndre, another one. Jim Jones versus Lloyd Banks. Try to stay in your league. You know what I mean? Like Jadakiss is just somebody who never stopped. You know what I'm saying? Lloyd Banks, yeah, Lloyd Banks hasn't put out an album in frequent years. You know what I mean? Consecutive years, I should say. He just recently released a project, but go against somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to say Jim Jones hasn't been releasing consistent projects. Appreciate you for tapping in, Schizo. Mark Gotti says that 50 needs to stick with making television shows. And, that's actually a post that the game made. Let me bring up that tweet or that Instagram post, whatever the hell it was that the game said. Because the game said, last time you did this with me, G Unit Clothing got put in a casket with the entire group, and you went into television. I like power. The game is a little bit off on that because 50 didn't go into television until more recent years. You know what I'm saying? 50 didn't go in television until more recent years, so he's a little bit off right there with that, actually. But one of the biggest beefs in hip hop, or what could have been, I'll have to say, what could have been one of the biggest beefs in hip hop. And I'm going to ask y'all. I'm going to bring it to the chat. You guys. Who do y'all got? Who do y'all got in the chat, man? I want to know. Do y'all got the game or do y'all got Meek Mill? Baby boy, I don't know, man. I'm not a pimping curly guy, bro. I didn't really find the humor. In pimping curly. I thought it was a little bit too over the top. You know what I mean? Nah, just who y'all got, like overall as an artist. Like whose albums have you enjoyed more so? You know what I mean? Whose career have you enjoyed more so? I mean, we're not just going to compare them battle wise. We're not going to compare them diss record wise because we really don't have the diss records to compare. The game had an amazing diss track that I think is comparable to 300 bars going at Meek Mill. But Meek Mill, to my knowledge, only addressed the game on the radio freestyle. When he said, young thug checked you, 50 disrespected you. Now I'm gonna next you. Bill Goldberg, some whatever the hell he was saying, you know what I mean? Meek Mill really laid into him on the freestyle, but I'm not gonna put that up against what the game did. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna do that because it's just not fair, when it comes to actually comparing the records. These guys work together, these guys actually had a good working relationship as well, from what I had heard in interviews. They would get in the studio and they would vibe. I don't think Meek Mill wanted these issues with the game. I think these issues came out of the blue. Yeah. So I guess their issue comes from actually a incident that went down in the club in 2016. Yahigel, YH. I'm just gonna call you YH. Yeah, that would be a good versus. Yeah. The game challenged Eminem. The game challenged Eminem. I feel you, Mark. Appreciate you tapping in. But yeah, I feel you as well, DeAndre, man. Pest Control was fire. Like I said, comparable to 300 bars. Am I tripping, you guys, when I say Pest Control was 9 minutes long? Like I kind of remember listening to it back a few years ago or however long ago. Sometimes you'll listen to that record just to pass time. Okay, the real prophecy wants me to name 10 records with the game. 10 records with the game that don't have 50 Cent. That's pretty easy, prophecy. You should have said more like 20 records with the game. You know what I'm saying? So you got Special with Nate Dogg. You got Like Father, Like Son. No, what's it called? Is it called Like Father, Like Son? Yeah, Like Father, Like Son with Busta Rhymes. You got Wouldn't Get Far with Kanye West. That's 3. Um, you got Let's Ride. He had that song called Let's Ride, which was like it was also going to be called Strip Club or something like that. I'm glad they actually renamed it. I think that was the first single for the game's second album. It was called Let's Ride. But for everybody who's just tapping in, I just got somebody who told me, Mikey T, my brother Prophecy from New Jersey. He said, Mikey T, can you name 10 game records without 50 Cent? And yeah, there are records. You got One Blood, you know what I'm saying? You got one of my favorite records from the game. It's called Games Pain with Keisha Cole. You know what I'm saying? A lot of records he has, man. I really liked Too Much that he did with Nate Dogg as well. He's got a lot of records, you guys. Like it's no bullshit with the game. Let me see. But what else does he got? No, I think that single with Lil Wayne is from his third album or something. Yeah, it was called Dope Boys. He has the single with Lil Wayne called Dope Boys. That had Dope Boys. That had Lil Wayne on it, right? Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe no, that's the Travis Barker one. But yeah, bro, I hope I proved my point. You know, the game has a bunch of records. Uh My Life. It was My Life with Lil Wayne. Boom, right there. My Life was a hit song. Let's Ride was kind of a hit song. Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, My Life. Most loved YouTuber says it's 8 minutes long. Appreciate you, Daryl Jones. Major salute. Daryl Jones is an official movie star. Appreciate you, Daryl Jones. But yeah, man. So Whack 100, like, in my opinion, I touched on it briefly the other night. Put You on the Game, the fourth single from the documentary. I touched on it the other night, you guys. Whack 100 is keeping on with these issues that he has with Meek Mill, even though the beef is ended, even though Whack 100 technically got the call. Wack got the call from Talk. You know what I'm saying? He got the call, yo, Meek Mill wants to put this shit to rest. So what did Wack 100 do? Wack 100 went to the game. The game really wasn't trying to hear it, apparently. You know, the game really stands on what he stands on. I mean, until he sees some real shit in his own eyes, like what had happened with the game and Little Dirk. You know, after the game jumped on that record with Tyga and completely massacred Little Dirk. You know what I mean? After he complete And let's be real, he massacred Little Dirk on that diss record. You know what I'm saying? But Little Dirk couldn't do nothing. He couldn't do nothing record wise to diss the game. Completely evident. That's why he had to go to the club and see the game face to face. Now, I don't really get why Meek Mill in the game ended up beefing if it was over some club incident. Maybe somebody could put it in the chat why they started beefing, because it's really like leaving me right now. I was thinking it was over Nicki Minaj at first. You know, that's what I was thinking it was over, really. But yeah, Start From Scratch, another amazing song from the game. You can name mad songs. You can name mad songs. All right, most love YouTuber. Guys asking me to name 10 songs. That's taking away too much from the video tonight. We have a couple topics why people are tuning in. So if you want to ask questions that are like out of bounds, off topic, send in a super chat just to be real. Well, Prophecy, I think people ran to get the game's first 3 albums. I think people, yeah, West Side Story, but West Side Story had the game on it. The game 50 was like 50 had the hook where he's like, you can see the look in my eyes. I'm gonna be a gangster till I die. That California chronic got me so high. 50 was on the hook on that one, so that doesn't count. Yeah, well, let's be real. Because Wack said there is a clear difference between beef and the squabble. You know what I'm saying, guys? He said there's a clear difference between beef and a squabble. He wants to squabble with Meek for reasons that are unknown to me. You know what I'm saying? He wants to squabble with Meek because of the way that Meek actually dissed his artist. Like, come on, leave it alone. I've said it before. I'll say it one more time. I think that Wack, instead of trying to do a celebrity boxing match, which EFN hilariously suggested, $1 million suggestion from EFN on the reel. You know what I'm saying? I honestly think Wack 100 should have been. I honestly think Wack 100 should have been thinking on the more business topic. You know, Drillmatic has everybody involved right now. Kanye West, you know what I'm saying? Kanye West is actually involved, lead single type shit. You got James Cruz, who the game is talking about, and that's one of Diddy's closest allies. So Diddy is right here, you know, involved in this project. Meek Mill's involvement with the project could be crucial. Imagine the lead single of Drillmatic or the title track or the second single, however they want to figure it, since Kanye's on the first single with Meek Mill. But instead, Wack 100 wants to drum up Clubhouse views. He wants to drum up Clubhouse views. He wants to drum up the internet chatter. You know what I mean? It's kind of like childish to do that when there is so much money out here to make. The game and Meek Mill make dope ass music together, man. Daryl says, am I the only one that think Wack is always doing too much? You're not the only one that thinks that. You know what I mean? But Wack, like Nori said, when Wack is right, he's right. When he's wrong, he's wrong. I think that's right along the lines of what Nori had said. You know, sometimes Wack goes overboard. Even the game had said, you know, the game was like, yo, I don't agree with anything that he does. You know, it's like sometimes at the end of a show, it's got to be like the thoughts of this show do not represent anybody, whatever I think. It's like that's what the game says about Wack. He's like, just because I mess with this dude, it does not actually mean that's what's up, Real Prophecy. We'll do that. We'll do that poll as well. That sounds good. No, it's all good. It's all good. Most loved YouTuber. That was actually a good question, to be honest with you. I bet you I could have riddled off the 50 Cent songs. But what do y'all think, man? Who do y'all got? It looks like the chat is really rocking with the game. You know what I mean? Right now, we got 68% for the game, and we've got 32% for Meek Mill. So I want everybody to vote in the poll right now. If you're just tapping in for the first time, make sure you subscribe. But if you're just now seeing that we're doing polls for the first time in these live videos, make sure you vote because it's a new addition to the live videos, man, where you guys can get your thoughts heard. DeAndre says it kind of feels like the Meek and game started with Sean Kingston. Is it that whole incident that happened with Sean Kingston when he came into the club with his jewelry and left the club without his jewelry? Something in regard to that. Militant Hajar says the game has more hits than Meek. Oh, he also noted in, and he's lyrically better. What do y'all think, man? I want everybody to vote in the poll right now if you agree or disagree with that. The Real Prophecy says, yo, Meek is going to tear somebody up. He is being doubted 2 days in a row. Prophecy, are you talking about that best rapper in Philly blog or poll, I should say? Oh, good. I got my water here. I got my energy and I got my weed, everything that I need. King Gaddafi, appreciate you for tapping in, bro. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Everybody hit that like button if you haven't, man. It really helps the algorithm. It helps get these videos out there so we can get more eyes in here and more people in here debating with y'all and y'all's topics like this one. Brandon saying that game is lyrically better than Meek Mill. I mean, I can't say that I wasn't a fan of the game's first 3 albums, like really seriously a fan of them. Like I waited for all of those albums to come out. After that, Red Nation, Jesus Peace, what came after Jesus Peace, you guys? I don't remember. Without looking it up really. The documentary 2, when he branched off and did the Blood money record deal with E1, I was less than interested in his career, just to be 100% honest with you. But if we're ranking it album to album, yeah, I like the documentary more than I liked Dreams and Nightmares, just overall. I liked Dreams and Nightmares less than I liked, but I'm going to tell you that Meek Mill's second album was really impressive, and it did a shitload of units sold. Not as much as the game's. Like the game's second album overperformed Meek Mill's second album by over 100,000 units. Meek Mill 250,000, the game 360,000, and that's after the game was kicked out of G Unit. So you really can't say anything. Let me see. Born to Rap, which was the game's last album, was a very good album. Not great, but very good. How do you compare it to 1992? That's when I started to tap back in with the game. 1992. When he did that documentary too, I really couldn't jack it. You know what I mean? Rick Ross doing Port of Miami too, I really couldn't jack it. Now, it'd be another story if I was sitting with these rappers, talking with these rappers about the different things that they're doing with their albums. But they just haven't done enough to keep me latched in as a fan to where I used to be there waiting for every new game album, waiting for every new Rick Ross album. And I'm just being realistic. I'm being realistic, man. I had a dozen questions written for Rick Ross about the God Forgives I Don't album that I really wanted to sit there and talk to him about all the choices that he made about the R&B artists that he worked with on the album. But, you got to move on to the new artist as a blogger in this game. You got to reach out to the artists that are going to reach back to you. You know what I'm saying? That's why you see me linking up with new guys in the game. Like you see me with the 22Gs. You know what I mean? You see me with some of these new guys in the game, like when Cash Out was fresh on the scene, and right after he performed at the BET Awards, I linked out with Cash Out. Even back then, I knew the scheme. I was linking up with Vado. You know what I mean? Jay Mills signed a deal with Lil Wayne. I got an interview with Jay Mills about that. Unfortunately, that damn album never came out, though. Jay Mills on Young Money, Cash Money sounded like a good idea to me. Sean Baglife, appreciate you for tapping in tonight. Well, DeAndre, the game actually said that the documentary 2 was actually, I think he said it was his 4th favorite album. I believe he said Doctor's Advocate, the documentary, Jesus Piece, yep, the documentary 2, and then Born to Rap. Yep. Tashiri Hickson, appreciate you for tapping in. Yeah, that's what this shit is about, bro. That's what this shit is about, kicking that knowledge. We're about to get into the secondary topic. Well, I call it the main event because, you know, this is really the topic that we've all known about for pretty much our whole lives. We all watched the game, joined G Unit, and then began to feud with G Unit. Now, this whole feud with the game and Meek Mill, that's more recent. You know what I mean? That's much more recent. Like, this is something a lot of people say the game did to spike interest in his career. You know what I mean? Some people will say the game did it to spike a little interest in his career, just like when he caught 40 Glock right around the time that the Jesus Piece album released. You know, some of these things he does to drum up a little bit of drama. He drums up the drama to drum up some record sales. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, you got to look at the situation. Everybody's talking about the game right now. Drink Champ's interview is doing him more than well at this time. Hell, some people are out there saying the Drink Champ's interview is top 5. But I'm going to bring in my guy, my co-host, soon as he's ready. I'm bringing in my dude from Connecticut, actually, the Elm City Prince. This is RBH.
What up, y'all? What's good? What's good, peoples?
What's popping with your RBH?
You know, the regular, man. The regular. Just tuning in. Had to chime in a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man. I wanted to talk to you first about this whole situation with Meek Mill and the game. The game released, I would have to say, probably his second best diss track. You know, 300 bars, and then this pest control where he dissed Meek Mill was really scathing, in my opinion. What did you make of that whole beef with Meek in the game?
Yeah, that was dope. I like when the beef gets into confrontation. You know what I mean? Because like the game, like he know how to dig in. He know how to get underneath somebody's skin. Like he know how to get that reaction out of people. You know what I mean? I believe he was calling apologies, people. I believe he was calling Meek Mill a roach, and he had the raid. He was spraying him, or was that Cassidy?
Well, Meek Mill had a diss track. Meek Mill had a diss track called Raid. But yeah, I think you're right. I think that's what the game was actually doing with the Raid. Is that what he was doing in the chat, you guys? Militant says RBH from Connecticut. Yes, RBH is from Connecticut. Let me see. But yeah, so apparently Wack 100 ended the whole beef with Meek Mill in the game. But, you know, so Meek Mill in the game end their beef. But now Wack 100 is still on Drink Champs, you know, one of the biggest platforms to go on. And he's talking about he wants to squabble with Meek Mill, even though their beef is over.
I don't know. I think a lot of people just say anything for clout. You know what I'm saying? Chances of him and Meek actually squaring up, finding each other and squaring up, I don't know. I don't see it.
Yeah, it's like, and like the game has a new album, Drillmatic, coming out. I don't get why Wack 100 is there trying to contend with Meek when he could be putting together a song for Drillmatic. Like, isn't this the perfect opportunity for Wack to be like, yo, I ended the beef with you, so do a song with us and make sure it gets cleared?
In my opinion, like, yeah, definitely. You know what I mean? Like, when two creatives come together, you know what I mean, and form something special, bro, what are we waiting for? You know what I mean? Like, the beef, all right, y'all had that. So we got the buzz. Everybody's already interested. But now everybody come together. That's just like Jay-Z and Nas doing Black Republican, I believe the record was.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm watching the video now, the pest control video, and yeah, there is a guy coming with the raid. He's coming to, he's coming to the house. He's got the whole jumpsuit on, like he's coming to get the roaches up out of there. Oh man, the game really did Meek Mill dirty on this shit, man.
Try to. Try
Like,
to.
who do you got? I got it in the chat. I got it in the chat as a poll right now, man. But who do you got, RBH? You got Meek Mill or you got the game? If you were pressed to choose who you listened to more, who you were more inspired by as an artist, like I'm gonna be real. Like I like the documentary more than I like Dreams and Nightmares. I like the Doctor's Advocate more than I like Dreams Worth More Than Money. Like, if we're being realistic, I was more entertained to see those albums if we're talking about their first two joints.
No, I gotta agree, bro. I gotta agree. The documentary, I gotta roll with the game, bro. Got to roll with the game. You know what I mean? Like, and I respect Meek. You know what I mean? I like the first two projects. And if we're doing first two projects versus first two projects, I still gotta roll with game. Still gotta roll with game, bro. And I like them both, but I respect the game. You know what I mean? Like, and I wanna do second project versus second project, really though, because Meek's second project is really where Dreams and Nightmares. That's like where it really like popped off at. And
Right.
Game, that was Game without Dr. Dre. See, Dr. Dre, that assist, you already got the points. You know what I mean? Like you're already gonna shine.
Yeah, but one of the things I think that hinders the game's first project, maybe I'm 100% wrong. I didn't like the name drop so much. That's why I could agree that the Doctor's Advocate might have been a little bit better, but I'm more of a documentary guy at the end of the day.
I got to agree. I got to agree. Again, that Dr. Dre production, along with the 50 Cent assist, bruh, like you're not gonna lose with that. You
All
know what I
right.
mean?
So somebody in the chat said, what did the game say that was so bad about Meek Mill? He said, this is what he said. This is what some of the lines that the game sees. He said, all rats gotta die though. In New York, Quad Studios getting high though. Off that sour diesel and that hydro. This dude taking L every time he goes viral. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what everybody started to acknowledge Meek Mill's name with, RBH.
Facts,
Taking L's, right?
facts. Yeah, it all started with the Drake shit.
So what did he say that was so hard? I just read the first line of the joint, man. The game is nothing to be messed with when it comes to these diss tracks. But RBH, like, you can't just say he's like a guy who can only do diss tracks. The man can make songs too.
That's a fact. Nah, that's a fact. The game makes hits. He learned. He learned the formula from Drake. He learned the formula from Fifth, and he can do it on his own at this point. You know what I mean? So I can't even take that away from the man.
But yeah, I just it just is like dumbfounding to me how Wack 100 is gonna like play this situation like he's gonna become any bigger if he boxes Meek Mill. Wack can't get any bigger by doing dumb things like that. He can only get bigger by putting out the popping records, by putting popular records together, RBH. I think putting together a single that goes massively viral with Meek in the game is a better opportunity than doing a celebrity boxing fight. Or am I wrong?
Nah, that's a much better play. Because at the end of the day, a boxing match, like it'll be here today and gone tomorrow, but them records will be here 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years later. Especially with Game and Meek. Like, come on, man. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Like people really gotta step in front of what they feeling. You know what I mean? People be all up in their feelings, bro, and like they'll do anything for the clout. You step away from that and just work on what's real. You know what I mean? If he was to squash his thing with Meek, put Meek and Game together, you would have a way bigger impact than a boxing match. All right. Oh, let's run it back. Who was supposed to box? Chris Brown and Drake. That was supposed to be a boxing match at one point.
Soldier Boy.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That would have been here today, gone tomorrow. We wouldn't even be talking about that today had it happened. You know what I mean? But the records stick around, bro.
Right. Right. And it could have greatly impacted either one of their careers had it actually happened. Like, I don't think I don't think Chris Brown would have lost that fight, but say Soulja Boy had lost that fight, that whole comeback shit. You think Soulja Boy could have had the same comeback if he would have lost that fight?
Absolutely. If he would have won the fight or if he would have lost the fight, if he would have followed up with she make it cut, 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 she make it cut, 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 yo, it's over. It's over. People respect the records, bro. The records will save you from anything.
And RBH, what do you make of French Montana jumping on the She Make It Clap remix? Good
I
move
think
from
that
French.
I think that's amazing. You know what I mean? Like French is like the biggest. Once French jumps on your record, you know it's a hit. You know what I
Young
mean? So
May, Bobby Shmurda, Lil
boom,
Durk.
boom,
Three
boom,
examples right there.
boom.
So get this. Wack gets word that Meek Mill wants to end the beef with the game. He hits the game. The game seems, in Wack's words, less than interested in ending the situation with Meek Mill. Why is the game less than interested in ending the beef with Meek Mill? Is it because everybody and their girlfriend was dissing Meek at one point after Drake went after him?
There's that, and everybody loves controversy. You know what I mean? Everybody loves controversy. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be that way, but that's what sells. At the end of the day, that's what sells the tabloids. That's what sells the headlines. That's what sells everything. People rather see each other. People rather see other artists go against each other than work together for the moment. And again, it's for the moment because it's not going to matter longevity. Longevity, you do them records, man. Those speak volumes.
Yeah, and I was just thinking, it's like, okay, Kanye West does easy with the game. Diddy's obviously messing with the game. So I feel like, Meek Mill would have just been the third trick to really solidify this Drillmatic album. How sold are you on the Drillmatic album at this point, based off of Easy with Kanye West, though, RBH? Are you sold yet? Do they got you? Do they got your purchase?
That record hard. A lot of people didn't even notice. Game didn't even curse on that record, so it was still following the format that Kanye set in. You know what I mean? Like it's still like the gospel. You know what I mean? Like it's still clean music, but it's hard. It's hard, bro. Like that record is hard. That's all I can say.
RBH, with the game saying that Kanye West did more for him in 2 weeks, I mean, than Dr. Dre. Kanye West didn't even appear in that music video.
I mean, we're not the game though. You know what I mean? Like I can't speak on another man. From where we sitting, the game looked crazy. Yeah, he do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we seen you come up with Dre. We know you wouldn't have had to start without Dre. We know you were sitting on the label at Dre's label, and it wasn't until the G Unit situation where they launched you forward. So with all that being said, we heard one song with you and Ye, or two songs. I apologize, two songs. We heard this and Wouldn't Get Far, you know what I mean, which was produced by Ye. You know what I mean? Like we heard these two songs. So you're saying that, and he's not even counting that. He said the last 2 weeks. You know what I mean? That was years ago. So he's talking about the last 2 weeks. So I'm gonna assume Easy's in that bunch, but we don't know what else is coming out that bag at the same time. All I'm saying is I don't know enough to judge it. You know what I mean? Like from where we stand in, I understand everybody like how, but we ain't see it yet.
And so RBH, what's a better record? Wouldn't Get Far or Easy?
I like Wouldn't Get Far.
Yeah, that's one of the most commercially appealing records, man.
Yeah, because of the concept. You're like, okay. It's funny you bring that up because when I got home from work and I was pulling up before I pulled up, they were playing Gospel by Dr. Dre and Eminem. And I had to ask myself, why is Guilty Conscience a better, in my head, I felt like Guilty Conscience was a better record. But I had to ask myself, I said, why is Guilty Conscience a better record than Gospel? Gospel is fresh. It's a new beat. The two of them in the studio, they're working together. This is 2022. You know what I mean? Like, but why does Guilty Conscience still hold a torch over this record? And it's honestly because of the concept, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Like, that's the conclusion I came to when I asked myself. It's the concept. Guilty conscience, like you talking to yourself, debating on a decision where you have a you have a bad outcome and a worse outcome. Let's call it what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I haven't heard Gospel. I haven't heard that new stuff that Dre put out yet. But
check it out, man. It's dope. It's still dope, but it doesn't hold the torch to the old shit.
But what do you make of all these labels missing out on the opportunity with the game? Like he spoke on Irv Gotti and Murder Inc., how they were just more interested in editing Ashanti videos than really having him jump in the studio. He said he got around Suge Knight, and Suge was really letting Crooked Eye and Eastwood and Corrupt rap instead of him. And then when he met Dre had all the women. Dre had his music playing. It was like he had it queued. We're going to get into that in a little bit. But I want to more so know what you think about guys like Irv Gotti. Like they're there editing on their computer. You know what I mean? Editing some Ashanti because they're making mad bread off of that Ashanti, RBH.
Bingo. You said it, bro. You said it. And I'm happy Game said that because I want every artist that's on the come up to understand that. When you come into a label, they're already going to have projects in the works, bro. Nobody cares about you except for the man who brought you in, the A&R who felt you, the producer who submitted you, or whoever. But other than that one person, that's one person to a building of 100 people, bro. You know what I mean? You win the door, congratulations. But even though you win the door, you still got to show and prove. You still got to show and prove, bro. Still. So yeah, you're always gonna have an Ashanti in front of you. You're always gonna have a Jay-Z in front of you. You're always gonna have a 50 Cent in front of you or Eminem. You know what I mean? It's up to you not to buckle and to keep it moving, man. Keep it pushing. And that's what Game did. And that's why we know who Game is today.
So let me read this next lyric. All right, this shit's crazy. He said, "Welcome to the West, and this ain't the life of Pablo. Stay on that bullshit. It's going to start to feel like Chicago. Keep it 100. You Nicki Minaj's sideshow. Still chasing dreams. I made dreams in 05, though." Can you believe that shit, man? You asked me what the game said about Meek. Vote in the poll right now, you guys. Who do y'all got? Meek Mill, or do you got the game? Vote in the poll. RBH, right now the poll is reading off. Right now the poll is reading off at 59% for the game, 41% for Meek Mill, man.
Sound about right.
Yeah, Militant says Irv Gotti was making all that money on some R&B shit. How would it have worked out if Irv Gotti said to the game, "Go jump into the studio," and then he listened to the game? Do you think he would have just said, "Jump back out of the studio. I got to finish this video"?
I mean, it's like the game said. The game was always going to be the game, but that assist with 50 M and Dre is what that's what caught our attention. So without that launch, we don't know. You know what I mean? We don't know.
Well, it's interesting because we're going to go over this. We're going to go over this, man, because the game actually admitted what he would have done if 50 Cent would have come to him and said, "Yo, I'm not messing with Fat Joe. I'm not messing with Jadakiss. I'm not messing with Nas. Do not big up those guys." The game actually spoke on what he would have done if 50 Cent actually came to him about that.
Oh, man.
So the game actually broke down the story. I'm not sure if you heard it before. I do believe he's told it on one other platform or another. But the game was actually in the hood, and Dr. Dre sent somebody in a car to go pick the game up with a Mercedes, or to tell the game to come meet him in the studio. These people in the game's neighborhood actually sent this guy away before. So he came back a second time, and he's like, "Listen, we need to bring the game to Dr. Dre." Dre was like, "I don't care what happens to you guys. Just make sure you get this message to the game." So then the guy actually brought the message into the game, and he was like, "Why didn't you tell me this before? Why didn't you tell me there's a guy here from Aftermath trying to get me to the studio? What the hell are you thinking?"
Facts.
So that's pretty much how that played out, you know?
Damn. Nah, I didn't know that.
Yep. So Game said, "You can ask Dre. I came in looking like off the block. I walked in and Dre was playing my demo for a room full of bitches. I only seen them in Jay-Z's videos." Then he's like, "You game? I'm trying not to be hella fanned out." And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Welcome to Aftermath."
That's a hell of a welcome.
That's crazy, man. So RBH, obviously somebody could message into Dre, or there's got to be some sort of a thing that says, Dre, Game is walking in right now. Cue up his music. Or somebody's obviously got to do that, RBH. It couldn't have been that organic, bro.
Or it was, yo, Game on his way. Let's play his music so everybody accustomed to him.
Yep.
So so however long it took from the pickup to the arrival at the studio, you know what I mean? Bro, how do you say no to that? you got like 8 bad chicks on this side, 8 bad chicks on this side. They all bump into your music. You got Dr. Dre in the middle of them, like, yo, welcome to Aftermath, bro. I feel welcome.
Bro, those girls must have been hired. They must have been hired, right?
Yes and no. I mean, yo, all right. Let's just say I'm Dr. Dre, my homeboy. Let's just take my man Byron. You know what I mean? Yo, Byron. Yo, go to the club and let them know RBH. You know what I'm saying? Is having a studio party. Who's not gonna go? All them girls is opportunists. You know what I'm saying? All of them, and they all probably like hip hop music because they all dance to hip hop music.
Yeah, but they all didn't know who the Game was. You're telling me, RBH, that just them listening to the music while he was on the way over did it for them?
No. The invite to go see Dr. Dre is what did it for him. And they'll do anything and everything to be in Dre's good graces. So whoever Dre brings in, they'll appease him because they want to appease Dre. And if the music's hot, which we all know it was, you know what I mean? It's not that forced. It's like, oh, okay.
So so RBH, Game then went into what Dre was working on. He said Dre was working on In the Club. Game said we was effing with the In the Club record for 50. 50 was about to start recording it. Rakim tried to record it first, but Rakim said it was cookie cutter and that he wasn't messing with it. The Game said, if my memory is correct. And that's just because, in case Rakim ever addresses it in an interview himself. But let me ask you, man, does that sound like let's talk about the In the Club record, the beat itself. Is that cookie cutter for somebody like Rakim, though? Yeah. But RBH.
I mean, all right. Well, you gotta understand. All right, hold that thought. Right now, think about it. Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. Who had that record before Lloyd Banks had it? I mean, no, not Beamer, Benz, or Bentley. I'm sorry. I don't even know the name of the record, but Bobby Shmurda ended up getting on it, and that was hot. Yeah, that was Hot Boy, the hot record. You know what I'm saying? So Lloyd Banks had it first, where he was spitting, the boom pat metaphors, the bars, putting the Lloyd Banks sauce on it. You know what I mean? Dope. But Bobby Shmurda got on it and put that new boy swag on it. Same beat, whole different formula. You dig what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like a lot of times, man, like it's the perfect beat with the perfect artist. You know what I mean? Even though we heard the beat, we done heard a dope artist on it. It didn't pop until it had that new sauce on it. You know what I mean? So again, all right, so now let's run it back. You got Rakim in the studio with In the Club. All right, cool. You know what I mean? It's not the same formula. It's not the same sauce that 50's gonna bring to it. Rakim probably got frustrated halfway through it because he felt like, yo, they're not gonna feel this. They're not gonna. I don't have what it takes to make this one pop. 50, on the other hand, and now I also remember 50 saying a while back in Double XL, Dre was surprised what 50 did with that record because Dre was under the impression that was going to be a hard gangster record. You know what I'm saying? Like it was going to be a hard record. You know what I mean? Like a straight shoot 'em up gang record. But 50 came up there with some go shorty, it's your birthday. You know what I mean? Like with some celebratory record. You know what I mean? So it even threw Dre off at first. It threw everybody off. You know what I mean? Like this isn't what we thought we was gonna do with it, but 50 turned it into a hit. 50 with the assist of Lloyd Banks.
So another person that was actually that we've all heard, because the Rakim was new to me, but I had heard that Eminem and D12 actually had their hands on that. Game continued. It was a D12 song, and Eminem passed on it for D12 too. So before Game got into what was going on in the Dr. Dre studios, He said that D12 and Eminem actually turned down In the Club as well. RBH, how do you think In the Club would have turned out with Eminem and D12 on it? With the popular singles we've heard from them, we've got the Purple Pills or the Purple Hills and My Band. I mean, would it have been more like How Come? What do you think would have come of D12 doing the In the Club beat?
I don't know if you ever heard D12 World, but it would have been more like You Are the One, which was a single off the album that didn't feature Eminem and it didn't get a lot of buzz, but it would have hit like that. You know what I'm saying? Like dope beat. You know what I'm saying? I think Kanye even produced that. No, Kanye produced Welcome to D12 World, and it would have hit like that too.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? It would have hit just like that too. Kanye beat fire, and the artists aren't really capturing the moment. And it all goes back to what we were saying originally. Like, yo, what is the concept of this record? Is it relatable? You could spit bars all day over a rhyme and over a dope beat, but what is the concept and how are you rocking it? Like, what is your cadence? You know what I mean? Like, that all matters.
So Game, he broke away from that though. He said he broke away from that. He said Snoop was in the kitchen with Warren G and Nate Dogg. They was rolling up. Busta was in the kitchen with a pen and a pad, and I ended up freestyling for Busta because I wanted to certify myself with that. Me and Busta been like that ever since that night. So they've been tight ever since that night where the Game actually freestyled for Busta Rhymes. Yeah, Busta Rhymes is the type of guy that you really need to like prove yourself in front of RBH. Like I remember like this one time that I met Busta Rhymes. It was actually at the Hit Factory. You know, you probably remember this time when
Yeah.
Busta Rhymes was about to he was about to school the hell out of me, but I just stopped Busta Rhymes from talking like 2 or 3 different times, and I just kept on explaining myself. And Busta was like, "Oh shit, I see what he's saying." And me and Busta actually ended on a very good note because it was actually some crazy ass shit that happened with Birdman's bodyguard at the not Circle House, at the Hit Factory. But yeah, man, I had a crazy ass story with Busta Rhymes. Maybe I'll tell it in full on the channel one day.
You need to, bro. The people need to hear that one.
Militant says 50 Cent changed the game with that one. Do you is that true? RBH, did In the Club change the game?
Yeah. Yeah, because before that he had Wankster. You know what I mean? And Wankster had the streets buzzing because that catered to the beef for Murder Inc. Blah blah blah. You know what I mean? But
Okay.
in the club didn't mention none of that, and it was a smash. So then it was just like, yo, he got it on both hands. You know what I mean? Like, not only does he have the streets, but he has the industry too.
Reginald, appreciate you for tapping in. It's kind of a weird question, but what was the bigger record? What being that 50 was more on the independent type of underground market when Wanksta dropped, and Ja Rule was kind of at the downward part of his career when Clapback dropped. What was a bigger record, Clapback or Wanksta?
Wankster.
Wow, yeah, Clapback was really like disliked, huh?
No, not even. Clapback was dope, but it was a day late and a dollar short.
A day late and a dollar short. At what point in Ja Rule's career would Clapback have ever worked? If he would have dropped it on Pain is Love?
Right after Wankster.
Oh,
A
right.
response. Like we've been waiting for the Ja Rule response for like two or three albums by that point.
Okay, I hear you. Okay, I gotta put up a new poll. I'm putting up this poll, RBH. The poll is, do you like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? I want to know.
That's a good question.
That's what I want to know. Do y'all like the game with G Unit or without G Unit? Daryl, send me in send me in some of those lyrics from the Ooh freestyle from Meek Mill, and I will read it. Let me see. I don't know if I got the lyrics up anymore from that game record, but if I do, I'll read one more set of lyrics, man, because them shits was hard. I ain't even gonna lie. Them lyrics were hard, but let's get back into this exclusive that we're going over, RBH. So where are we here? So Game said that "What's Up Blood, What Up Cuz" was happening in that time frame, which was like a week. And I was like, 50 is hard as F. Nori asked if the first time he met 50 was during the making of In the Club, and he said yes. Game said there are only 2 beats I've been jealous of. When I heard In the Club, I said I wanted that beat. Soon as 50 was like, "Go shorty," this is after I had heard Wanksta, but that was mixtape. It was dope, but I knew this In the Club was about to send him to the moon, and I was jealous as shit, and I wanted that record. Yeah, man. So that's a record that the Game wanted. He was actually said he wanted to prove that he deserved the record more than anybody else. But once he heard the 50 Cent rap that "Go Shorty, It's Your Birthday," sort of like how you were saying a little bit earlier, RBH, the Game knew it was 50's record. Do you think the Game could have put anything on there that would have been as big as what 50 did, man?
Ain't no telling. Ain't no telling. I know Rick Ross tried and got sued over it.
But Game said, "I did what I want on Aftermath. I'm going through some beats." So he was basically saying that he was pulling up the beats on the computer. "I was going through some beats and I pull up How We Do. Dre came back. Dre came back in and it was playing. Dre said, nah, we ain't doing this. I did this like 10 years ago. I was like, this hard as F. Let me show you what I got. Fresh like, Impala, He was like, record it. I went in there and freestyled the shit. What do you think, RBH, man? Game explained 50 came in. He was like, I'm getting on this. 50 got on it, and I was like, it's official. I'm about to be one of them guys. This shit sounds too good. It sounds like it's in the club's vein. But that's my Aftermath story. RBH, is How We Do in the same vein as In the Club?
Definitely.
Really?
Definitely.
Why? Please explain that, since you are an artist.
It's because all right, here we go. In the Club was real simple. You know what I mean? Like Dre, you let Dre do what Dre do. All you got to do is compliment the beat with your lyrics and give it a good concept. You know what I mean? In the Club was that, and This Is How We Do was no exception. No exception. This is how we do. Make a move and act a fool. You know what I mean? Like mad simple. You know what I mean? And then 50 comes in. I understand. So it's like, all right. So you know, you game, you give it that swag. You know what I'm saying? And then sorry. So you give it that swag, and then 50 come in, and 50 blows you out the water with his verse. You know what I mean? Because not for nothing, Game set the tone, but 50 came in and blew it out the water, bro. You know what I mean?
Another thing, RBH, I think everybody thought like the 50 Cent actually wrote those intros to the hook, you know, the fresh like Impala, you know, I think everybody really thought that was 50 Cent because of the way that 50 Cent pretty much narrated the story. Like he wrote everything for Game, and the Game would just come in and do his 12s or his 16s.
Not that one though. That one right there, that one was Game, but 50 killed him on that one. That's why the narrative fit.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Let's talk about this. Tasiri Hickson says, if G Unit recorded the second album with the Game, it would have been huge, 5 million plus in sales and a crazy tour. That's another check the Game screwed himself out of, RBH. He's talking about the follow-up to Beg for Mercy. If the Game was on the follow-up to Beg for Mercy, the second G Unit album would have been even bigger. Because without Buck, without Game, TOS sucked.
They screwed themselves out of that. They both lost. Like Game not being affiliated with G Unit was a loss. G Unit not having Game affiliated was a loss. Game dissing G Unit from within was a loss because before Game, G Unit was like Superman. Game was the kryptonite. Nobody knew nothing about no kryptonite. Nobody knew nothing about eating them from inside. You get what I'm saying? Like before Game was inside and decided to eat them up. That's when that started. Hey y'all, give me a second. I'll be right back.
So Harry Hickson says G Unit with Game. I'm going to address this one right here. TH, my brother, says G Unit with Game is like what Diddy was trying to do with the band. Interesting comment right there. You know, the Game getting put with G Unit, it was a move made by Dr. Dre and 50 Cent. Diddy went across the country, finding artists from New York, New Orleans, Miami, Florida, Philly. You know what I'm saying? Finding artists from all these different states and putting them together as a group. It's a little bit different, man. State property was put together without the guys actually knowing each other. You know what I'm saying? Drop it in the chat, man. Drop those lyrics in the chat and I'll read them out, brother. Beg for Mercy was a classic, and that's why I do agree with that comment. I do agree with that comment that if the Game was actually on the second G Unit album and they had taken it serious and the Game hadn't ditched the album, or excuse me, not the Game, and Young Buck hadn't ditched the album to pretty much continue his tour with the dude who did throw some D's on him. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Militant, you see, that's not really what I try to do. You know what I mean? A lot of people right now are running with my bro Freddie P's story, and they're just trying to get hits off of what's going on in Freddie P's life and shit like that. And that's not really my MO, to be 100% honest with you. You know what I mean? A lot of these bloggers who are talking about the shit haven't even met Freddie P in real life to really seeing the type of shit that he's doing on the internet. You know, they just want to do it so they just want to talk about all the shit so they can get some clicks on their page. And that's not really what I do over here, you guys. That's not why I got involved in hip hop on the real. You know what I mean? To just jump on every single controversial story. That's my dude right there. He's obviously going through some shit. I don't want to go and do an interview where he's talking about, you know, all this shit that he may or may not really want to say that's going to live on the internet forever. Not my style, man. Yeah, detail, rich boy. Yeah, Young Buck decided to tour with Rich Boy, which it's whatever. You know what I mean? You want to tour with Rich Boy, you want to try to, get your sales up domestically. I could see what he's trying to do with that, but he ruined a major opportunity plus a whole nother tour. Steve Drive said the Game said, let's bring the unit back together in mad interviews. So he clearly regretted it. Yeah, the Game actually went in a little bit on talking to 50 Cent. You know, the Game actually spoke on what he talked to 50 Cent about when he would run into him in all the nightclubs. You know what I mean? All the videos that we would see on the internet, the Game actually cleared it up what he was talking with 50 about, basically saying 50 even responded back to him and said, yo, I don't even know where we went wrong in the first place. 50 Cent doesn't even know where the hell him and Game went wrong in the first place. It's been so many years. It's been nearly 20 years. I think we're over 17 years since all this shit happened, man. Capital third letter C in the building. Definitely appreciate you for tapping in, man. Definitely appreciate everybody for tapping in. Hit that like button if you haven't already. Militant says Rich Boy is nowhere now. And Young Buck made a mistake. You know what I mean? He made a mistake by passing off 50's opportunity of going on that tour, which I believe was an Asian tour. So it was an overseas tour where they were touring Asia. You know what I'm saying? Multiple cities, multiple dates. We heard what Game said about the G Unit tours in this interview. You know, 50 would be making, like, he said they would get like $2 million for a show, right? He said 50 would get $2 million for a show. And he said that he would break down $500,000 between the G Unit guys. Why would anybody screw up that opportunity? People get jealous. People get jealous. Game must have probably thought, oh, this is a situation. This is a situation right here where I can get $2 million myself. Game was probably thinking that type of shit. He was probably thinking there's a situation right here where I can get $2 million and I can bust down 500,000 between my people. Yeah, like he said, jealousy. Jealousy, exactly. Complete jealousy. And the game said it himself. He was jealous over the In the Club beat. Why are you going to be jealous over a beat that you wouldn't have been able to really do anything with? We've heard countless beats that the game has used that really haven't gone as far as when he attached himself to 50 Cent. Would How We Do have even gone as far without 50 Cent? That's when you need RBH in here. But I want to know in the chat, what are y'all thinking, man? I want to know in the poll, do you like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? Everybody hit that joint. What do you do, bro? From Columbus, Ohio. Everybody vote in the poll right now. If you have not voted, hit that like button. Vote in the poll if you have not voted. We got the chat question is, do you like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? I want to know. Hit that poll. Right now it's 54% that says with G Unit, 46% says without G Unit. Everybody vote in the poll, man. We're talking about pretty much the G Unit beef of 50 Cent in the game finally being explained. And also, we spoke on it a little bit earlier, but Wack 100 apparently got the call from Meek Mill's people to end the beef with the game. I was reading some of those lyrics from Pest Control, man. I could see why Meek Mill would wave the white flag. You know what I mean? I'm sure the game. I'm sure he saw what the game did to G Unit with 300 bars, 240 bars, 120 bars. Every different diss he put out there. You know what I'm saying? Every different diss he put out there to diss G Unit. Every different G Unit artist that he dissed. The game dissed the hell out of O'Malley. O'Malley, you ain't got the answers. You know what I'm saying? Like, he dissed the whole freestyle that O'Malley did. TY says game destroyed them. The people's demonstration said it was cool. The group had good energy. But yeah, I want everybody to vote in the poll right now. We got 93 people in here. Hit that like button, you guys. Show me some support on the channel. Subscribe to this channel if you have not. I do exclusive interviews. We do live news reports like this, even interview watch-alongs. But vote in the poll right now. I want to know. It's a pretty big question because I know we're all fans of the game in here. But do you like the game with G Unit or without G Unit? That's my question. Have you been bigger on the game since he left G Unit? Were you into the Doctor's Advocate? Were you into LAX? Have you been into his new albums that he's released on E1? Or were you like, damn, I was more of a guy that was interested in listening and watching the game when he was attached to G Unit, when he was working with Tony Yayo and Lloyd Banks, when the chips are down, you know what I'm saying? Young Buck, when he replaced T.I., you know what I'm saying, on the Stomp record, you know what I'm saying? 200 bars. Steve Drive says 300 bars was the most overrated diss of all time. Name a hot bar. Oh, please don't make me do that, man. Please don't make me do that. Don't make me do that. You better send in a super chat if you want me to do that. Okay. Let me see what he's got here. Let me see what he's got here. Let me see what he's got here. Well, okay. You sell records, but a GGG, you not. Acting big on the radio, but to me, you not. You can ask Mr. C who hot. Tony Yayo, I bet 10 G's you flop. That was a dope lyric right there from 300 bars. The song did with Tony Yayo, was the hottest feature. That song was actually called Runnin'. Tassir says, I will say this, the unit in the game would have not worked. None of them expected Game's project to get hot for the public to take him so quickly. Yeah, that was another thing that really made the game actually, get big headed, I guess you could say. The fact that his project moved so many units. But if you look at the actual sales, you guys, the game only moved about 100,000 more units than Lloyd Banks. In July of that year, Lloyd Banks had moved over 440,000 units. I think the game moved, what was it, 580,000 units? Somebody get the official number for the documentary. But he moved like 100 to 140,000 units more than Lloyd Banks. He should have been chill. You know what I mean? Sure, argue to get another album release, argue to get the Doctor's Advocate released the very next year, but don't start beefing with your whole group. The game actually addressed that, writing the hook for What Up Gangsta. He actually addressed that on the show with Bullets Gotti, actually. This dude who did an interview with me on Clubhouse this week. The game said, well, Wack 100 said that he wrote that shit. Yeah. Tassir, the Game and 50 could have made a duo album. Don't get it twisted, my man. The other three would have hated on Game's leadership. Well, Lloyd Banks, if he would have released another album the very next year, he would have had more of a career. Young Buck should have took over the South and started his record label, and Tony Yayo should have did pretty much whatever the hell he was going to do. You know what I mean? I'm a big Tony Yayo guy, but I don't really know what he was going to do. That's why I was trying to interview him for so many years, to actually figure it out. Yeah, I was actually trying to figure it out and link up with Yayo for a bunch of years, because I had heard rumors about his album, 50's Tax Write-Off, the second album. You heard it was an album, but it was actually a mixtape. It had that single with Maserati Fox and Snoop from The Wire. 586,000 copies first week. Anybody that sells 586,000 copies first week would want to be on their own label, man. They would want to be on their own label. Lloyd Banks came out and he actually moved 142,000 copies less than the Game. So that is a significant amount. Steve Drive says that Game ain't right. What up, gangsta? Haha, that's 50 wrote that during his mixtape run with Shaw and Reef. Yeah, they've actually denied those claims that the Game wrote that as well. But that's got to be one of the easiest points to try to prove. When you got the terms like cuz and blood, and those are terms that you would really symbolize with the Game. So it's really got to be an easy thing to actually question. So that's where the Game actually said the beef got really serious with 50 Cent, y'all. The Game said that 50 actually going out there and saying that he wrote his music is where this beef took a whole nother turn. that the beef took a whole nother turn, because when you do something like that, the game is pretty much getting his whole career discredited. 50 Cent was trying to end the game's career, you guys, based on all this. So like I said, so Game explained 50 came in and he was like, I'm getting on this. That's best case scenario right there. Nori asked Game if it was 50, Dre, or Jimmy Iovine, who would it be? Game said it was 50. 50 when we was at it. He said he wrote my album like I couldn't do this shit by my own. That's what really started causing tension. 50 will watch this shit and he will feel away. But one thing about me and 50 is I always respected his pen and melodies, and he was a force of nature. But I want him to know we equal. Very interesting, because later on in this interview, Wack one, or excuse me, not Wack 100. The Game would go on to say that at one point he found Eminem to be a better rapper than him, but now he says he's better than Eminem, and now he's saying that he is actually equal with 50 Cent. He wants 50 to know that they're equal. Interesting, man. Very interesting. But when it comes to the blame, when it comes to where does the blame go for the beef, the Game puts that blame on himself. The Game does not blame 50 Cent for the beef. Game said he wasn't going to blame 50 for the beef. He said, I effed up. I effed it up. Before I was a hip hop artist, before I was anything in rap, I took the game too serious. I thought it was real. Two of the best MCs died. And of course, we know the Game is referring to B.I.G. and Tupac. The Game said he was in high school when that happened. You know what I mean? To be in high school when that happened, it's like, you know what I mean? You're listening to your favorite artist, you're seeing them go through everything they're going through, and then this happens. It had to make him think that the game was real. And then getting into that game, getting into the beef with 50 Cent, what he must have thought, going from a high school guy, putting out his own projects, getting the projects known by moving him in the streets where he lived. So nobody could, basically you couldn't get away from it. His music was playing in all the cars and shit like that. He really did it a dope way, getting his music out there. King Gaddafi says Yayo is the Memphis Bleak of G Unit. He didn't get to release as many albums. Yeah, the shit at the radio station was crazy when the Game said that they all pulled up. The Game said he had like 70 dudes with him, y'all. And he said they all had to go outside and basically hail cabs once they had heard 50 say that the Game was out of G Unit. You know what I mean? Once he said that the Game was out of G Unit for some reason, and Nori asked him, he's like, wouldn't the first conversation be with Dre and Jimmy Iovine? Why would you go and try to check 50 Cent on some gangsta shit? And I agree with that. Nori is like an intelligent ass dude. It's like, yeah, that's the obvious step. You don't go beef with somebody. You don't go just beef with somebody, go jumping out the window, beefing with 50 Cent. How about you go and talk to the higher ups? How about you go talk to the people that actually run the record label? You know what I mean? If 50 doesn't want you as a part of G Unit at this point, let's be real. This guy actually just moved 586,000 units. And now a few weeks later, 50 Cent's kicking him out of G Unit. That's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing. Now you got one hand out of your pot. Now you got one hand out of the pot. You can look at it as a positive or a negative. But the fact of the matter is the Game's second album came out and it did 120,000. No, it did 220,000 units less than the first one. His first album, as my guy in the chat posted, 586,000 copies. His second album did 360,000 copies. I'm talking about The Doctor's Advocate. He lost 220,000 plus sales. Tony Yayo's album in full sold 216,000 first week. So he lost the whole Tony Yayo support. He lost the support of the people who would buy G Unit albums just because. 200,000. That's almost 250,000 people that you just alienated. You know what I mean? But you still got 100,000 over 250,000. So, I mean, maybe if you do the math, that works out better. Gangsta game, he effed up. Yeah, especially with all the extracurricular activities like RBH and I were just discussing. And one of the guys in the chat said, like, if he could have been a part of the Beg for Mercy sequel, that album probably would have done 5 million in sales. Yeah, I was looking forward to a official G Unit second album, not TOS. And not talking about Get Rich or Die Trying. That's another G Unit album. I don't really consider it to be an official G Unit album, but it did have all the G Unit artists on it, from Spider Loc to Mobb Deep to MOP. All different types of artists actually tapped in on that. Mace was on it when they were trying to work a deal with him. All different types of artists, man. I was really impressed with that project. But I don't really attach it as an official G Unit album. But with how bad TOS was, you might as well group that in there, man. TOS was a major disappointment to me. And I was excited. I was excited to see The Game and Young Buck and Yayo actually back on the next G Unit project. And then you got The Game with the West Coast. Then you got Buck and Banks, who were the guys that were with 50 on Beg for Mercy. So they really had a gumbo right there, and that shit was about to be over. I read somebody in the chat said Jimmy Iovine told The Game that they wasted $300 million. Yeah, you know what I mean? They wasted a whole lot of money by messing with that plan, man. I'm sure there would have been another album following the Beg for Mercy sequel. I'm pretty sure 50 Cent would have made a movie about The Game, just like they made a movie about 50 Cent. If it wasn't 50, it would have been Jimmy Iovine and Dr. Dre getting that shit made. So, in all honesty, The Game kind of screwed up a lot, but he got a lot of bread. Maybe he's content. You know what I'm saying? TOS had some bangers. Are you talking about I Like the Way She Do It? Are you talking about Straight Out of Southside? Are you talking about you know what I mean? Are you talking about Rider Part 2? Are you talking about Kitty Cat? All those records I really wasn't fond of. Piano Man was okay. You know what I mean? But I really was not fond of a lot of those records. I loved the Beg for Mercy album. I'm going to go as far to say that Beg for Mercy was a classic group album. The Beg for Mercy project was a classic group album. I wish 50 would have got it together to do the DPG Unit album. The DPG Unit album, where the Dog Pound connected with G Unit. Why do you think Eve would have been on the tour, bro? Need everybody to hit that like button, share this video, vote in the poll. I'm wondering, y'all, we got 85 people in here. Do y'all like The Game with G Unit or without G Unit? Vote in the poll. It's pretty simple. It's right there in the chat. I really want to know, what do y'all think, man? The Game with G Unit or without G Unit? I think it's about time I answer this question. It's I've heard a lot more of The Game without G Unit. You know what I mean? Because I've heard untold stories before he was with G Unit. The only G Unit, well, we got to be real. The Game actually featured on most of the G Unit albums. He featured on The Hunger for More, the important G Unit albums. He featured on The Hunger for More, and he featured on Straight Outta Cashville. So that's two big features right there. Two records that I remember to this date. And then he had his own album. So, and that album had 20 cuts on it, 19, 18 cuts on it. So we've had a lot of G Unit material. We have 20 G Unit songs. Plus there's a couple, I'm So Sorry, The Game did a bunch of G Unit diss records where he was actually defending G Unit, going at other people. He has a bunch of material like that. But The Doctor's Advocate came out. LAX came out. LAX arguably had my favorite two game singles. What was the street single for LAX called? That joint where he's like, I'm on the corner with a quarter. I'm on the block with a quarter. Let me serve. I forget what that song was called, but it was really hard. And then he had Game's Pain, which is arguably my favorite Game single. You know, it just wasn't received as well as his more popular joints. Yeah. Yeah, Caleb. That's why I was so hyped to hear what Young Buck and the Game could actually do together on the second G Unit album. And of course, Tony Yayo coming home was amazing. Yup, Big Dream, Caleb. Big Dream was dope. I really like that street single for the LAX album. LAX actually moved 225,000 units or 226, right around there. So the Game's shit was really not the same. But so I'm going to have to go ahead and say I like the Game with G Unit. I wish the Game would have stuck with G Unit. Yep, Keisha Cole was on Dream. 717, appreciate you for tapping in tonight, man. So the Game said, I went to Hot 97 and 50 is beefing with Nas and Jadakiss and Joe. Game explained, I ran into Joe through my mans, Cool and Dre. Joe, that's my effing brother. He was my brother early on in my career. Khaled was hella skinny in clubs in Miami with like 20 people in them, but going crazy. Yeah, major salute to DJ Khaled. He's a good dude. He really came out the mud and got famous as hell. I've actually filmed Khaled on a few different occasions when he had a few parties with French Montana. So Game continued on. The second time I came to New York, Jadakiss picked me up in a Benz truck with a North Face on and some Timbs. Kiss took me to Yonkers. DMX had dogs out there. Later on, I run into Nas coming into Houston. Nas explained to Game, you're next, son. I'm not going to do the Nas voice, but apparently Nas told the Game, you're next, son. Nori said, you a West Coast guy, but that resembles Nas voice-wise. So, yeah, that was interesting. Game said, fast forward, and I'm on Hot 97, and Funk Flex is asking where I am in the beef. And this is the infamous conversation that Funk Flex had with the Game where he asked him if he was supporting G Unit in the beef. And I think everybody knows that 50 Cent pretty much has been the type of person, like, if you don't support me in my beef, then you better not even consider yourself to be my friend. If you're not enemies with my enemies, you better not consider yourself my friend. And 50 is cool. Oh, wow. That's a big ass point right there. And 50 is cool with all of them now. That is a major point. All the people, Jada, Nas, Joe, Nas telling the Game that he's next. Fat Joe showing him support when nobody else would. Jadakiss picking the man up from the airport. And you're going to hate on your artist getting showed love by all these different people? Really doesn't make any sense. So Game said, if he would have said F them, I wouldn't have said F them, but I would have fell back from them because this is the team I'm riding with. And if I seen Jada, Nas, or Joe again, I would have to tell them, man to man, I'm riding with this dude y'all got beef with, but I'm riding and I'm on this side. So, yo, bro, that is absolutely crazy for the Game to say that after this many years. No matter how many times the Game has talked about this beef, he has never once said, oh, if 50 Cent would have told me he wasn't cool with Jada, if he would have told me he wasn't cool with Nas and Fat Joe, I would have fell back from them. You got to be shitting me. Why wasn't this the conversation that they had when they made the peace treaty? Why didn't the Game tell him then, yo, Fifth, you want me to fall back from these rappers? I'm cool with it, man. I'm rocking with G Unit. I didn't know that's what it was. If you would have told me to fall back, I would have fell in line because I'm rocking with the crew that's putting money in my pocket. The Game would go on to say that G Unit was breaking down $2 million on 50 shows. And you're going to choose the guy that tells you you're next up, but didn't give you a record deal? You're going to choose the guy who picked you up from the airport rather than the guy who is now paying for you to get picked up from the airport for the next 100,000 times. All right. So Fat Joe showed you love when you were nobody. 50 Cent gave you How We Do. Jumped in the studio with you after you recorded it just because it was hot. Take these things into consideration, man, when you're thinking about how somebody told you were the next big thing, or Dr. Dre brought you into the studio, your own words, and was playing your music in front of all these women. And you run into Nas at Houston's, the steakhouse, I'm assuming, and he tells you you're the next big thing. So you're going to put it all on the line for that. Okay, I really don't understand this. Jadakiss picks you up in the truck. Okay, that's great. You know what I mean? He picks you up in the, what did you say, the Timbs and the North Face. 50 Cent has put you in a position to where you can go on Drink Champs and bring 3 bottles of that crazy Class Azul tequila and just drink them. You know what I mean? And not even care. You know, not even care how it affects your bank account. Yeah, but getting a ride is cool. You know what I'm saying? And Fat Joe showed you love. He showed you mad love. But Fat Joe has come on the internet dozen times and talked about how Eminem gave him his demo 5 or 6 times and he didn't sign him. You know what I'm saying? Like, no matter how hot the Game was, a lot of these guys weren't taking that extra step to mess with him, like Diddy, who was there with him, or Irv Gotti, who was one of the best beat makers, or, you know what I mean? Shit like that, man. Adam says Game fumbled the bag. Game fumbled the bag. Yeah, he had the bag right in front of him. He got it one time. He got it one time, 2 times, and then he decided he had enough. He's like, yo, I made $100,000 50 times 2. I'm good. Man, come on, man. Man, come on, man. Someone make a shirt. Man, come on, man. That's ridiculous. Young Buck decides to stick it out with the throw some D's on them tour rather than go pair back up with G Unit. It really doesn't make any sense to me. It's not moves that I thought these guys would have been making as I was watching them, as I was purchasing their album and reading through their booklet. You know what I'm saying? I didn't think that they would break up over such ridiculous reasons, over somebody getting a ride from the airport or somebody not going on a tour, you know, with the group that they're known to be a part of. These are pretty ridiculous reasons for the G Unit to have broken up and ruined the opportunity to have 30, or what was it, $300 million. You know what I'm saying? Ruining opportunities like that to create money that now it's never going to exist. That money was there, but it got spent on other things. People decided to, you know, order their Netflix accounts and shit like that and spend $10 there instead of on the Game and 50 Cent albums that we could have got. But that's just a theory. Skeezy says 50 was making a lot of money off of them tours. Adam Smith says, I used to have throw some D's on it as a ringtone on my flip phone. Caleb says, woo. Caleb says, I think Game putting Ja Rule on that One Blood remix is what really effed things up. That's an interesting note. Yeah, Antoine. And the Game wonders why he's not good with Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? The Game went at it with Jay-Z for a number of years, trying to bait him out, sort of like what Joe Budden was doing. You know what I mean? But I'm kind of glad that Jay-Z didn't take the bait, similar to the way that Lil Wayne didn't take the bait with 50 Cent. What's going on, my dude? Haram the Don. Appreciate you for tapping in tonight, bro. What's everybody smoking on, man? Chase Moolah's in the building. my effing boy Mikey T, and the game is strong enough to at least have a solo career as well as being in G Unit if they were still together. Yeah, I don't think it would have been hard for the game to argue that he should have released another album after selling 500 plus thousand copies in 1 week. Um, as history would hold, the Doctor's Advocate, I want to say it released that next year, 2006, in November, right around that time. I don't think the game would have had any issue getting a second album out, whether he was with 50 or not. I think the game could have argued that point. But the fact of the matter is, I believe the game must have thought, all right, if I could be done with G Unit, I can sell this album. I'll do another bunch of units and I'll make all that money on my own. But in reality, the game decreased in sales by 220,000 units. Now you can think about that any way you want. By 50's logic, you would have to think that 50 thought, okay, he released the album too soon. He released the album within another year. 50 had Lloyd Banks wait 2 years. He had Young Buck wait 2 years. 50 waited 2 years in between albums. Get Rich or Die Trying, 2003. The Massacre, 2005. Curtis, 2007. You know what I'm saying? Before I Self-Destruct, 2009. 50 waited 2 years. I don't think that's a great marketing plan. Great artists like Ja Rule, great artists like Ludacris, these guys, T.I., they release albums every single year. When you got somebody like The Game moving 580,000 units in a week, when you got Lloyd Banks moving 440,000 units in a week, you do not wait to sell those units. Interscope wanted to capitalize on previous success. They wanted to release two 50 Cent albums that first year. My man's smoking on that Cold Summer. I never heard of that. That's a strand. Oh, that white cherry runts got me bent. Yeah, Gilly just said that's the best weed to smoke, the runts. Gilly was saying that was the best weed to smoke, the cherry. What was it? Was it the white cherry? I don't think it was. I think it was black cherry. He said. I'm smoking on some apples and bananas. I got to show some love to Bel Air Blue. Bel Air. I'm about to be the Bel Air blogger as soon as they decide that they want a blogger on the team. I know they got a lot of people that endorse it. They got all the rappers that endorse it. But you need a blogger. You need a blogger to endorse this shit, man. Champagne, blogging in Champagne. Shit is lit. You know how we do. We be blogging. We be hitting that champagne. This OG lemon kush got me high as hell. I'm a big lemon guy, man. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a big lemon guy, but I never really can get my hands on anything lemon. I want to get like a nice half ounce of the shit. You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me see. Let's get back to this. So Game said, listen to this. He said, we would have had the conversation if I had been privy to the information, but I wasn't. So I told Flex, I don't know what 50's on, but I love Nas. And Kiss just picked me up. And Joe, that's my man. 50 heard that. 50 heard that where he was at, and he didn't like that. So the next thing I get is I'm kicked out of the group. Game said, you don't kick me out of the group. I'm the G and G unit. It ain't called 5 unit. That's the letter G. That's me. So I felt the way. 50 went up to Hot 97 the next day. And 50 got on Funk Flex and told Funk Flex, Game is out of the group. I'm in New York. I hear 50 say I'm out the group. I'm traveling everywhere with 70 dudes, and we on JetBlue. So the Game decided to try to run up on 50 Cent. The Game tried to run up on 50 Cent, you guys, with all of his homies after 50 Cent kicked him out of the group. So it's obvious that being a part of this group actually meant something to the game. You know what I mean? It's not like he just wanted to be out of the group. That's kind of a something I'm just looking at right now, something that I'm just reading into right now. The fact that he was so hurt by this, Adam says, dumb response from the game. The fact that the game was so hurt by this, you guys, it's like it says something to me, because I would have thought that the game would have wanted out of G Unit, you know what I mean, to get away from all the dudes who had a stake in his money. Interscope, Aftermath, G Unit, Black Wall Street. You know what I mean? There's 4 different companies right there. I would think that you would want to eliminate one, but him actually going and being all upset about this, it shows me that he wanted to be cool with all those guys, Nas, Fat Joe, you know what I mean? Jada, he wanted to be cool with all those guys. Notice there's no mention of Ja Rule. The game obviously knows of the beef with Ja Rule, but as he said, he wasn't privy to the information about the other dudes. If he was, the game says that he would have not associated with them. He wouldn't have said F them. He wouldn't have publicly dissed them like I guess Funk Flex was trying to dig out of him and see if like he was gonna, because the game was so known for jumping on 50's enemies' asses, pause, that he wanted to know if the game was gonna associate or possibly diss these MCs from New York. Yeah. Nas, Jada, Fat Joe. You know what I'm saying? But Game had no intention of doing that. Game actually wanted to work with these guys, but that's not what he said that he said on the radio. I thought that that was the major issue back in the day. I didn't know it was more so just him having a friendship. I thought Game had said that he wanted to work with those artists. And it was kind of like 50 Cent would have all the G Unit guys just work with G Unit artists. That's kind of how their label worked. You would work with artists from under the Shady, Aftermath, G Unit umbrella. '50's big on loyalty. Game was down with the enemy at the time. I get it. Yeah. Around the Don says, all I got to say is shit got real. When Yayo came home, the beef slowed down and Mobb Deep was pressure to people to get the real facts. Yeah, Mobb Deep was cool on G Unit. Like I said, their album kind of underperformed, but I really think that was in relation to the way that they promoted the project. I got a feeling that, Put Them in Their Place wasn't the best first single, but they kind of gave away their single, the Have a Party record, with, it was Have a Party with 50, Mobb Deep, and Nate Dogg, for crying out loud. If 50 would have given Mobb Deep that Have a Party joint for the Blood Money album, it would have been a wrap. They would have had another album that actually sold 300,000 units. But that's the album that came out on was the Get Rich or Die Trying movie soundtrack, which did sell over 300,000 units, 340,000 units. And that album came out after Tony Yayo's in 2005. That was actually, I gotta say, probably the last successful G Unit album, unless you want to say Curtis. But the last successful G Unit album without being a 50 Cent project. Yeah, that's some real shit right there, you guys. Yeah, so like I said, the game said those crazy details about getting G Unit getting $2 million a show, and 50 was taking 1.5 million and letting the 4 other guys break down $100,000 a piece or $125,000 a piece. It seems like that. And 50 said that, and Game said that they were doing like 50 shows in 4 months. I don't even know what that figure is right there, man, but it's freaking crazy to think that the game would actually run away from that. It's crazy to think that Young Buck would run away from that. Maybe Young Buck didn't know how much he was running away from on these tours. Like, it's just ridiculous to me, like that they would, discredit their relationship with 50 when he's bringing them this type of money. Nobody else brings people that they relatively don't know this type of money. The Game's presence on these tours would have only increased with the way his celebrity was increasing, man. But let me see. Oh shit. Yo, guys, vote in the chat right now. It's pretty close. The poll question is, do you like the Game better with G Unit or without G Unit? That is the question, you guys. That's the question I want to know, man. I already said it. I'm rocking with the Game with G Unit, man. And with G Unit has 51% of the votes right now, you guys. What do you mean, young generation? Jim Jones worked with the Game. Do you like Game better with G Unit? Vote in the poll right now. It is 51% say they like him with G Unit, and 49% say they like him without G Unit. So the Game actually addressed talking to 50 Cent in the club, you guys. Of course, this is years later. Wow. That's crazy. Yeah, Kevin, before we get into that, we're about to fast forward many years, guys. Probably about 10 years. What is it? But 50 was trying to make a modern day NWA. Yeah. He was trying to make something even bigger than the NWA, bro. And it kind of got broken up by different reasons. You know what I mean? Yayo really couldn't leave the street shit alone. We had heard what happened at that Busta Rhymes video shoot. So the cops were kind of on Yayo's ass after that. Lloyd Banks was the best in G Unit. You know what I mean? He's the one who kept himself together. Young Buck started having problems with actually keeping his money straight and started fleeing away from G Unit. And the Game actually just started dissing all of G Unit beside Young Buck for some reason. Tyson says, I like the Game solo. You can't outshine the master. Yes. Well, I mean, look what Meek Mill and Wale did, when Rick Ross gave them a chance. You know what I'm saying? When Rick Ross gave them a chance, they outshined the master. You know what I mean? When Rick Ross gave Gunplay, Torch, and Young Breed a chance, they were not able to outshine the master. You know what I mean? So it's all about what you can do. I look at what Jay-Z did with several artists from Rockefeller. You got to look at Kanye West as somebody that was able to outshine the master. You know what I mean? Beating Siegel. I would have liked to seen him have a whole lot more success with his career, but he was actually plagued with, different things that hindered his career here and there. Major salute to Beanie Siegel. All those guys from Philly and New York and all these surrounding states are inspiring. But also, I had a chance to go to Florida and live. So getting a chance to, witness people like Rick Ross and Lil Wayne move with their career out there. French Montana go from New York to Miami and do things. Getting the opportunity to witness that has really changed a lot of perspective for me as well. Yo, Biggs, 1984. Appreciate you for tapping in. Yeah, Kanye definitely outshined the master. You know what I mean? Kanye West stepped outside of the box and made himself an unforgettable artist. Jay-Z tried to give that to a lot of people, man. He tried to give that to Memphis Bleak. He tried to give it to the Young Guns. You know what I'm saying? He gave a lot of people an opportunity to shine and become a big artist. He didn't want people to not feel like they could be bigger than him. That's something I respect about Jay-Z. He really gave these guys an opportunity. He gave them their storylines. You know what I mean? Look what he did with Rihanna. You know what I'm saying? He brought Fabulous over to Def Jam. He brought a lot of dope artists over to Def Jam as well before leaving that label. What, didn't he bring Jadakiss over there as well? Let me see. Yes, he did. Appreciate everybody for tapping in. Let me spark back up. I'm smoking on some apples and bananas tonight, you guys. It's a hell of a live podcast. Facts. Yeah. Dame signed Ye. Well, we're not talking about the whole signing of Kanye tonight. Yeah, Biggs. Actually, Domination was supposed to be with G Unit from what I've heard. You know what I mean? Domination was supposed to be with G Unit from what I've heard. But yo, I want you guys to vote in the poll. We only got 56 votes, so a few of you guys can still vote. I want to know, do you like the game better with or without G Unit? That's the big question of the night, man. I'm wondering. How everybody feels about that. I'm more of a game with G Unit guy. You know what I mean? I'm kind of a game with G Unit guy. I would have liked to have seen how far he could have went with them, man. That would have been really like interesting to me to see him do an album to follow up Beg for Mercy with G Unit. It would have been great to see if he had anything to do with the Get Rich or Die Trying movie, but also his own shit, man. The follow up to the documentary would have been amazing. I know 50 would have found the time to work with him on that shit. But yeah, hit that poll, you guys. Wow, without G Unit is 49%. With G Unit is 51%. 51%. But I want to read this last part. Cavino, save that for the questions, open questions segment. For everybody to know, we're going to do an open questions segment, obviously, after we finish this topic. But we're going to fast forward because Game had spoke to 50 Cent. You know what I mean? We've seen a number of videos of the Game actually sending 50 bottles, the Game actually huddled, talking up with 50. What was he trying to explain? I don't know. But Game said, I talked to 50 in the club. I said what I said. One thing he told me in my ear, he told me, I don't know when we went wrong. We were so young. All this has been validation. When I got back to LA the second time, I wanted to rap about it. I did 300 bars. But yeah, what's more important to me is the fact that 50 in the Game spoke years later, and 50 couldn't even remember where they went wrong, you guys. Like, these two, like 50 Cent's rap career went a certain way as well that we all didn't expect. You know, 50 was pretty much finished by his third album, the Curtis album. You know, that's where he lost a lot of our expectation. You know what I mean? Because it was a built-in thing that G Unit albums would be good from start to finish. And by the time he released the Curtis album, that motto must have been gone because the Curtis album was just way too commercial for me to actually have been interested in. You know, they had a song featuring Buck on there, you know what I mean, to promote Buck's album with it was called I forget what it was called actually, but it was the hook where he was like, I'm gonna take these bricks and break them down. And it had Nicole from the Pussycat Dolls on there. So 50 was trying to help break her as an artist as well for Interscope. You know, he was trying to use his shit. Yeah. Yeah, man. The Curtis album really wasn't my cup of tea. And then the Before I Self-Destruct album and Animal Ambition all just 50 stock is going down. So the Game really screwed up 50's career as well by leaving them because the Game, like, you know, like sometimes just for everything to seem okay, like if the Game would have is the best thing for everyone thing to seem okay, it looks good to the outside public, you're in good shape. But the Game wasn't acting like that. The Game wasn't just acting like everything was good with G Unit, like everything was all peaches and cream. You know what I mean? The Game was like, nah, screw that. I'm out of this group. I'm not effing with these dudes. I'm dissing every single one of these dudes. Young Generation says Game effed up. yeah, I think he missed out on a lot of money. Clearly, from touring, he said it himself, the amount of money that he missed out on, but also all the other opportunities. Look what 50 Cent is doing right now, putting together shows for Snoop Dogg, potentially a show for Scott Storch. I hope that one happens. You know what I mean? We need to look at the inside life of a producer. I really think that could be interesting. But the game really screwed up because he could have been on that list too. You know, the story of, you know, what happened to him when you know he got put into a coma, you know, all that story played out on a show could have been really amazing. But he lost his director, you guys. He lost more than that. He lost his budget. You know what I mean? After that, the budget like became so ridiculously minuscule, I'm sure. You know what I mean? All the G Unit projects had to get renegotiated from what 50 was saying. All the G Unit guys were getting $750,000 for a budget for their albums. Can you imagine getting $750,000, you know what I mean, for an album budget? That's what the likes of Banks, Buck, and Yayo were getting. Probably the game as well. Maybe even more for the game, actually. What up, Greg? What's popping with you, man? That was a good battle, Game and 50. Yeah, it was a good battle. The game kind of made them all look like punks. You know what I'm saying? He kind of really just started going at all of the dudes, with the exception of Young Buck, who he was trying to get to sign with the Black Wall Street, it seemed. It was like, Game, don't you realize you're going to run into a problem trying to sign Young Buck? He is locked in to a G Unit contract that he will more than likely never get out of, because every time Buck would turn in an album, 50 Cent would pretty much deny it. G Unit Dudes was lazy. I don't think that's the case, man. You know what I was just saying? What I was actually just saying about 50 Cent putting out albums in 2-year time spans, like, I don't think that's a recipe that any of the G Unit guys actually liked. I think that's just a formula that 50 Cent followed. I got a feeling Buck and Banks could have churned out albums every single year. Now, with the singles, though, maybe I'm wrong, because the single that Young Buck had, that whole Get Buck single, that joint was absolute garbage to be a first single for his second album. But in another note, Young Buck had done the song with Linkin Park, you know, Slow Your Roll. That was like, to me, in my mind, that should have easily been the song that 50 Cent promoted. That should have easily been the song that 50 Cent promoted as the G Unit, as the Young Buck project. Jay-Z was literally just coming off. The collision course with Linkin Park. Young Buck actually had Chester, rest in peace, do his hook for Slow Your Roll. It was like so Linkin Park-esque, and I think they just missed the opportunity to promote a G Unit and Linkin Park type track. Hell, why not put the rapper from Linkin Park on it as well? You know what I mean? And throw 50 Cent on it, because you know 50 Cent's gonna want to get a piece of that. Biggs, well, 50 Cent could have released 2 albums. He could have released 2 albums that first year he put out Get Rich or Die Trying, but he decided he wanted to actually do a a G Unit project rather than release a second album, much like DMX had released 2 albums in the same year. Interscope knew they could have capitalized on that. They had done it a few years prior with Tupac. You know what I mean? Releasing 2 albums in the same year. One went diamond, I think the other one, the 7-Day Theory, I think that shit went like 3 or 4 times platinum. But all right, you guys, I'm going to open up questions since we've gotten through the topics. I'm going to open up the questions right now. If anybody wants to ask any questions. Yeah, G Unit Beg for Mercy. Big says, Young Generation, Beg for Mercy was so sick. Yeah, I say Beg for Mercy is a classic group album. If we're talking about group albums, I'm putting Beg for Mercy there as one of the best group albums ever created. Let me know, man. Have you guys I'm trying to figure out what to watch tonight. Anybody got any suggestions what I should watch tonight? About to roll up a couple. Enjoy the rest of my night. We had a great live stream. If anybody has any questions right now, any open questions, send them my way. We did a little watch along of the that pest control video right there, going at Meek Mill, one of the best. I have not watched any Power yet, Tyson. I have not watched any Power yet, Biggs. I watched BMF and I was really, really impressed with BMF, you guys. I was undoubtedly impressed by BMF. One of the best shows I have to say that I've seen in a long time. Really loved the show BMF, man. Young Generation says, do you think 50 has another good album in him? I'm going to have to say no, man. I don't think 50 even needs to put out another album. You know, he kind of lost it after a certain point, when he got shot, I think, because of the fact that he lost his voice because of the fact that he got hit in the jaw. The Power of the Dollar album was such a sick album. The way that 50 rapped on that album, like the way that he put together his flows, I think it's far superior to anything that he's doing right now or has done. Even on the War Angel album, you know what I'm saying? Even on Get Rich or Die Trying, you know what I'm saying? There was a couple songs on Get Rich or Die Trying where he was rhyming quick, but it just wasn't as good as the songs from Power of the Dollar that, you know what I mean, that I love. But 50, came out with a bunch of anthems. He came out and he mastered the new way of rapping, like with different singles like Just a Little Bit. He had singles like Just a Little Bit, which you wouldn't really know him for, but I liked him more for his album Power of the Dollar. I wasn't really into him when he started rapping about like the candy shop and you know what I mean when he was even like Heat's dope, you know what I mean? Get Rich or Die Trying album is dope, but the shit like his music, like the style of what he was rapping about, it had a shelf life, not the music itself. In the Club does not have a shelf life. In the Club is going to be a song that's played for the next 100 years. Now, the style of 50s music, that sing-songy hook, it had its run. It ran its course. At this point in time, hooks like that, it's kind of like not in style anymore. People would look at it like it was old school. You know what I mean? So 50's hooks right now they don't be selling as good as they did at one point. At one point, 50 Cent was selling hooks for like $500,000. This day and age, 50 Cent's hooks don't go. It's more along the lines of Future's hooks. It's more the lines of Young Thug's hooks, Lil Durk's hooks. Look who Gucci Man is look who Gucci Man is hitting up to do his hooks, you guys. But I'm just giving you my real take. You know what I mean? I felt like 50's music had a bit of a shelf life. By the time we got through the massacre, we were pretty much done with 50 Cent. I mean, think about his song, Okay, You're Right, how they were flipping the hook. Okay, you're right. 50's shit just kind of ran its course a little bit. Now, these songs that he has, like, In the Club, like Just a Little Bit, like 21 Questions, these songs are timeless. You know what I mean? So his touring ability has always been major. All these cities that Game is talking about that they went and did, all the cities that they're talking about they went and did, they did them once a year probably. Every year they'd be like, you guys want 50 Cent to come back? Of course we want 50 Cent to come back to do 21 Questions and to do, the Candy Shop and to do, but 50 got it. 50 was able to master it, even though he had to change it up a little bit. I think he wasn't able to rap as quick, you know what I mean? Which ultimately I think hindered him. But maybe I'm wrong. A lot of these artists end up changing their voice after a certain point in time. Like, that's one of the reasons I don't mess with Young Thug's music as hard as I used to mess with it. Young Thug started changing his voice and it turned me off as a fan. I was like, I'm not really into that sound of Young Thug's voice. Ever since he made that song called Guwap's Home, I was like, nah, this isn't it for me anymore with Young Thug. And I just fell off the Young Thug. You know what I'm saying? But if anybody has any open questions, I'm taking them right now. Skeezy, I don't know about Bow Wow's last album on Death Row, man. I don't, you know what I mean? I don't know about that. What sense does that make to actually drop Bow Wow's album on Death Row just because of all those rumors? Just because of all those rumors that Bow Wow had once signed to Death Row or something like that. I don't think Bow Wow will be a good look on Death Row Records, just to be honest, man. Now, if they do Death Row collectibles, like collector's cards, yeah, let's do a special edition little Bow Wow card. You know what I mean? But Death Row, if Snoop Dogg wants to really send in, yeah, that's right, young generation. But yeah, if Snoop Dogg really wants to really reset Death Row, I don't think doing nostalgic albums that could have come out on Death Row is going to be the way to do it. Just my personal opinion. Big says Power of the Dollar was put out as a mixtape. There was 5,000 copies of Power of the Dollar released, from what I remember hearing in an interview, bro. Tyson Garcia said, nah, 50 is about to be the Hood's Tyler Perry. Well, 50 has an amazing track record right now when it comes to television shows. I think he has about 4 shows that he's put out that we know about. Maybe actually more than that. I'm mistaken. It's not 4. I was actually just counting Power, BMF. This is 50 Central and For Life. But I know there's a few other spinoffs of the Power series, which is just crazy. It's like, wow, this dude is doing spinoffs of his show. He's creating interest from everybody. Directors are getting work. It's just an amazing thing. Big says, do you think 50 Cent could have been on Tupac and Biggie's level? I kind of feel like, 50 at a certain point, he just said, screw it, I'm going to go for the sales, which is why I think he released that Scott Storch produced Candy Shop record. He was like, screw it, I'm going to go for the sales. In all honesty, I think that would have been better for the Curtis album. I think if he would have just released, Disco Inferno and Out of Control or something different, you know what I mean? Something different on the second album. And he would have held off on Candy Shop until he did the third album. If you guys remember, on Curtis, he tried to release Amusement Park, which was somewhat similar to Candy Shop, and it was a total flop. But yeah, I'm taking y'all's last questions. If anybody has any last questions, been an amazing podcast tonight, man. Got to discuss a couple interesting things. Wack 100 basically saying that Meek Mill had hit him up through a guy named Tack to end the beef with the Game. And the Game decided that he would hear Meek Mill out. That's a great thing right there. Again, I don't understand why Wack is still saying he wants to squabble with him on the Drink Champs. You would think if Wack got the call to end the beef, these guys could put everything to rest and that the Game could work with Meek Mill. Maybe that's just me being a little bit too optimistic, you guys. You know what I'm saying? But they've worked together in the past Why wouldn't they work together again? Really doesn't make any sense to me, especially with the game having an album coming out. All this shit, all this controversy on Nori's show. Why not just reach out to Meek and make something happen? You know what I mean? Rather than stir everything up. It's ridiculous, man. Yeah, The Power. Was it called The Power? Apex? Big says, "Do you think Tony Yayo could have been a better rapper than Jim Jones?" Well, Jim Jones worked for it, man. You know, when everybody thought Jim Jones was gonna be just another rapper that didn't really get any attention, didn't really make it. Jim Jones put out a record that did major sales on an independent label. Jim Jones proved himself why he deserved to be on a major label. Tony Yayo got the opportunity with a single put right in his hands. You know what I mean? I don't think Cameron made Ballin'. You know what I mean? I know they say Max B wrote Ballin' and shit like that. Jim Jones was the one who went out and sought out Max B. Jim Jones sought out Stack Bundles, or however it happened. They were brought and they all started working together. You know what I mean? So that is a little bit different. 50 and Yayo, they had been friends forever. Yayo was getting out of jail. Yayo got So Seductive put on him. Ballin' was probably 10 times bigger of a record than So Seductive. Probably judging by the sales, it's about 10 times better. I bet you Ballin' has probably sold about 10 million and So Seductive probably sold about 1 million. So yeah, Tony Yayo, if he would have had Ballin', which he tried to make fun of at one point and call it boring. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't know why Tony Yayo didn't go further with the beef with Jim Jones. You know, Apex says Yayo was cool, but he doesn't have Tony Yayo. Yayo was cool, but he doesn't have Jimmy's grind. Why didn't Yayo take that further, y'all? Like, why did he just leave that shit alone? I wonder. Like, I remember hearing the blogs. Well, Tyson, if Meek reaches out to the game or the game's people, or Meek has his people reach out to Wack and the game's people to end the situation, you would have to think, or I mean, you would naturally think, well, if I was the manager, I would say, all right, Meek, yes, of course, we'll put this shit to rest, man. You want to put this shit to rest? We'll put the shit to rest. But I do got this record for you for our new album. It'd be great if you could send the verse back with the release form. Yeah, I could do that. I could. That's great. Did you guys see the role I was playing right there? I was Suge Knighting it out. Because that's how the shit could possibly go. You know what I mean? That's how it should have went. But instead, Wack went on Nori's platform and basically had EFN suggesting they do a celebrity boxing fight. You know what I mean? That's kind of what we were talking about last night. I find that interesting, but I also find it majorly interesting that Wack took this call, put Game on the phone with Meek, and now he's still dissing Meek. You know what I mean? Doesn't make absolutely no sense in the music game, and all it does is it shows that the game is going to have problems getting any further. I mean, I guess they got the Kanye West single, so all is good. But you gotta worry about what's next. You don't just think about what's happening now. You got to think about what is happening next. Yayo was cool, but he doesn't have Jimmy's grind. Well, you know, Jimmy had to grind up or stay independent, man. Bro, Tyson, I don't know if Meek Mill will comment on Whack 100. You know what I mean? Because Meek Mill and the game are kind of in different aspects of their career. Yeah, the game has sold more units than Meek. You know what I mean? When he first came out, it was a different period of time. Meek Mill came out at a different period of time where selling 580,000 units just was not going to happen. You know what I mean? Now we got to be considerate to what's going on in present day. Meek Mill is able to move a certain amount of units that I don't think the game is able to move anymore. Now you can call their career, one's been in the career for 20 years and one's been in the career for 10 years. You could say what you want about all that. But the fact of the matter is, one of Meek's last projects moved 250,000 units. I believe it was the championships joint. The last one did move about 80,000 units first week, but that was more of a mixtape style project. But the fact of the matter is, Meek moved 250,000 units. The game hasn't moved 250,000 units in years. So right now, Meek Mill is hotter than the game. That is without a doubt. If anybody wants to deny it or whatever, if people want to say the game is hotter, it's whatever. I'm just speaking the facts, man. I'm just speaking the facts. You know, Wack says a lot of shit about Meek Mill's not hot or he's not as hot as Lil Durk. That, in my opinion, that's not accurate. I mean, sure, Little Durk is going to be the hottest, and he still has to reach up to Meek Mill's level, though, man. Meek Mill done put in a lot of work, man. He sold a bunch of albums at a high level. Meek is one of the reasons that Little Durk is popping. You know what I mean? Meek showing these guys love. You know, Meek Mill was one of the first guys to show Dirk love as well. You know, you could talk about Drake showing him love in recent years as well. But yeah, just trying to speak the truth on here, Haran. You know, I'm not trying to like be too heavy on one person's side or too heavy on another. I'm speaking the truth from all aspects. And if something caught me in particular, you know what I mean? Like I said, it's without a doubt that I was more into the game's first two albums than I was into Meek Mill's. I think all of us as fans, maybe you can see that. You know what I mean? Meek Mill really took off by his second album, though. That Dream's Worth More Than Money really sold about 250,000 units as well. The next one after that, people was hating on him, but the one after that, he came back. Like, but the game, since it went bad, it just went bad. Like, if we're talking about realistic album sales, he went from 580 to 360 to 220 to then moving 100,000 units in a week. You know what I'm saying? That's the game story. Well, he did a 220 a couple times. I think the Red Nation did that as well. But yeah, man, Hustler's Ambition was Heat Shelton. I did like that track. That was actually one of two singles off of the Get Rich or Die Trying soundtrack. So yeah, that's probably why that soundtrack actually did pretty well. They had Hustler's Ambition. They had Window Shopper. So yeah, I think you're right there, man. Wow. So do you guys like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? The poll is up. Vote in the poll. It's looking like 51% are saying with G Unit. It's looking like everybody's siding with me, you guys. Whoa, we just got another vote. 52% say we like the game with G Unit. Chich. G Unit Mikey T. Does that got a ring to it, guys? I do think that has a ring. Chich, Mikey T. I think it's got a little bit of a ring to it, you all. But that's not what we're here talking about tonight, man. G Unit isn't in the position to put me in that podcast situation right now. Although I think you guys would love seeing me podcast outside of the G Unit offices. I'd be in there podcasting all night. I'd be like, this is G Unit Podcast. 101, just to throw that whole stunt 101 joint in there. So 50, consider that, since I sort of stood up to you that day when you denied my interview. It was no disrespect, man. I've been a fan since Power of the Dollar. But anyways, let's get back to the shit. What up, Prince? Appreciate you, my buddy. And that's all I'll say in regard to that. But I did like the Tony Yayo remix to my buddy when he was still locked up, right? So was it a phone recorded verse for my buddy? Wherever I go. Oh yeah, I got a whole pack of raws here, you guys. I'm about to roll one up. Damn, all right. So I'm gonna end the poll, you guys. Do you like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? If you haven't voted, I'm gonna give you guys another 2 minutes to vote. In case anybody missed out on voting, I'll let you vote right now. If you guys want to get your opinion heard, do you think the game was better with G Unit or without G Unit? What is your opinion? My opinion is with G Unit, man. I think the game missed out on a lot of opportunities if he would have just stayed with G Unit. All over him going on the radio and saying, yo, I like Nas. Jadakiss just picked me up. Fat Joe said I was a good rapper. All over these little claims he made on the radio when 50 Cent was beefing with each of the men. You already know, let's hope. I appreciate you for tapping in tonight. Everybody, hit that vote right now if you haven't yet. Scarflex in the building. G-Unit. Hit that like button in this chat. Also, hit the poll right now, you guys, if you haven't voted. I want to know, what do you think? I'm giving you guys 2 more minutes on the poll. What do you guys think? Did you like the game better with G-Unit or without G-Unit? I've got to know, man. Because me personally, I liked him with G-Unit, man. I honestly think that the game missed out on a lot of opportunity that he could have had with his career of being with G Unit, y'all. If he would have just, done right by G Unit, he would have got to be a part of so many different projects and get so much different bread, whether it came to touring or whether it actually just came to, him recording on G Unit albums, recording his own albums. The Doctor's Advocate would have been a whole different story, Yep. Skeezy. Game thought he could be his own 50 Cent. He had a whole group behind him. He had a whole group behind him, the Black Wall Street, as I've said before. I'm going to have Compton Menace on the channel pretty soon, you guys. We were on Clubhouse the other night talking. He had a whole group behind him. The game had Juice. He had a rapper that I really liked named Ya Boy. I don't know if you guys remember any of these dudes, but obviously you know Compton Menace. He had a whole group behind him. I think the game wanted to take on that shit. You know what I mean? I think the game really wanted to be the 50 Cent of the group. As he was saying, dude was making $2 million for a tour. What the game probably wants $1 million and he'll bust down that other shit. Yep. Well, Tyson, it's crazy, right? Before I read your comment, the game knew about 50 Cent's beef with Ja Rule. You know what I mean? The game knew about 50's beef with Ja Rule. So you're telling me you didn't hear New York? You're telling me you didn't hear, you know what I mean? When 50 started going through issues with other dudes, but you're the game. It's kind of in your name. You know what I mean? That's what the game's albums are about. They're about all the name dropping and shit. That's what the game's career is kind of about. You know what I'm saying? That's what the game's career is kind of about. It's about kind of like knowing what's going on in the industry. And you're telling me you don't know that your CEO is beefing with these guys who now you're on the radio talking with? You know what I'm saying? Like, or talking about and saluting and talking about you want to do records with him and shit like that. So let's be honest, man. You just messed up. You messed up in that situation. Once you guys had that peace treaty, if you're saying this now, because the game actually said it, that if he would have known, if 50 would have told him that he didn't like those guys, he would have actually fell back. The game said he would have fallen back and been like, all right, I'm going to follow 50's lead on this one. So when y'all made the peace treaty, when they made the peace treaty, I don't get why that wasn't discussed. And the game could have told him like how honorable or how much of a soldier he really could have been. It never happened that way. Doesn't make sense to me, man. Why is this the first time I'm hearing that? Apex says that was pure cap. That was pure cap. Yeah, it's cap because why is this the first time I'm hearing this 20 years later? It's a little bit less because they didn't start beefing until 2005-ish. And here we are in 2022. So that's like, what, 17 years? But yeah, man, I really appreciate everybody for tapping into the live tonight. Listen, you guys, if you're on Instagram, I want you to follow me on the gram right now. Everybody who follows me based on this video, I will follow back immediately, y'all. I will follow y'all back immediately. I don't know if y'all seen the new shit I did. We had Freeway on the channel the other night. I don't know if y'all were in here. Maybe some of you guys missed it. You can check that out. Just hit the YouTube page and go check it out. Freeway actually spoke on Cassidy. Young Generation says, bro, I think Game is lying. I mean, come on. It sounds like you know what I mean? It sounds like the typical answer. You know what I mean? Salute to you, Lone Wolf. It seems like the answer that, would be logical. If your dude who just put you on, you know what I mean? If the dude who just put you on, like, is having issues with these other people who are going with somebody who's trying to end your career, you would think that you would fall back from that. You know what I mean? You would think that if you knew what was going on, if 50 had come to the game and told him that, that game would have said, yeah, I'll fall back. Or you wouldn't have thought he would have been like, man, I want to work with those dudes. Screw that 50, man. That shit ain't even right. Da, 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 da. I don't think it would have played out like that if the game actually would have been told. So I don't want to say that he's capping, man, because that seems pretty logical to me. Like anybody, honestly. Hell yeah, Freeway's looking good. He was on the Bel Air show. You know what I mean? It was dope to see him on there. I'm like, damn, that's lit. Bel Air is a whole, you know what I mean? It's a whole thing, man. And I'm really excited to see the next episode. I ain't even gonna lie to you. I don't know who. John Bernthal. Let me see who that is. Yeah, I get that. I do get that. Yes. Some people do say I look like John Bernthal. Respect comes before loyalty. Yeah, Tyson. Tyson says Game had other plans. He thought New York was going to embrace him with open arms. It shows that didn't work out for him. Yeah. I had noted a little bit earlier the Tony Yayo's album sold 216,000 units. The Game's first album sold 580,000. The Game's second album sold 360,000. So that is 220,000 less. So all of the G Unit fans that bought Tony Yayo's album did not buy the Game's album, you guys. It's as simple as that. All good, Finch. Appreciate you for tapping in. You know we missed your comments, though, bro. We know we missed your comments in here tonight, man. Scarflex says, I look like John Bernthal only in Shot Caller. You are hilarious, my friend. You are hilarious. There we go. Everything Gucci on this end, you guys. Much love, much love. He said Mike looks more like Adam Levine. Really? I look like Adam Levine? Wow. Wow, I look like Adam Levine? Tyson says Shot Caller was a good movie. Damn it. Maybe I got to check out Shot Caller. I'm wondering if I've seen it already, though. Wondering if I've seen it already, man. Well, it was a dope live video tonight, you guys. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Oh, shit. Let me take a look at the votes. This is your last chance, you guys. This is your last chance to vote in the poll, y'all. Let me take my last sip of Red Bull. You know what I'm saying? Since it's your last chance to vote in the poll, do you like the game better with G Unit or without G Unit? Those are the two options. I want you to vote right now, you guys. So without G Unit has 45%. The majority of the game's career has been without G Unit. That's pretty much what we know the game for, being outside of G Unit. But with G Unit has 55%. So I want everybody, this is your last chance to vote. What's your opinion? Do you want G Unit and 50 Cent in the game together, or do you like the game on his own, on his Black Wall Street, on his blood money? Let me, last chance to vote in the poll right now. Cheers. Okay, go. All right, the poll's ending off right now, you guys. We got 55% for with G Unit, 45% without G Unit. It looks like everybody who tunes in prefers the game to rock with G Unit. I'm going to end the poll now. Mikey T looks like Chris Martin from Coldplay. That is awesome. I love it, you guys. That is awesome, man. Y'all is bidding. Y'all is bidding on me, man. Well, I'm going to light this up, you guys. I'm going to tell you all that I appreciate you for tuning in. I'm going to say if you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. It's right beside it in case you don't get notifications to my channel. You know what I mean? In case you want more notifications to the channel. I'm sure there's a couple people out there who are like, damn, I want to get notifications to Mikey T's channel. Well, there is a way that can happen. All you got to do is hit the notification bell. Ping! Right there. It'll let you know Mikey T is going live so you don't ever miss it. So you can tap in and you can jump into the comments and you can get your comments reacted to by not only me, by all the other people in the chat as well. So I will see each and every single one of you on my next live video. Remember, I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. And like Scarflex says, who I appreciate for tapping in as well tonight, man, at this late hour. He says, click the bell icon, guys. It's as simple as that. Click the bell icon, guys. And I'll see you on the next one. Mikey T, the movie star.